Hey guys, it's Sam for Digital Meat, obviously. Welcome to the live chat. I'm hoping the audio is okay, you can all hear me, and there's not too much background noise and that kind of thing. Okay, so this stream then. I want to cover a few things about Digital Meat really quick, and then we can have a nice big chat about Maxon's new subscription model and R21 in general, I suppose. So let's kick off with that. Can't see anyone saying hello in the chat yet, but I'm sure that'll change as we go along. Right, so Sebastian says he made it. Yes, you did, my friend. Okay, cool. Sorry about the camera quality. I need to get some lighting in here, so I've had to boost the exposure right up, and that's why it's a little bit grainy and horrible. Okay, so first things first. What do I want to say? Oh yeah, so super chats are on, and there's a support link in the description as well. So use them if you want to help Digital Meat or just support the stream in general. What else have we got? Okay, so we've got some changes, just some updates about the website I want to tell you about really quick. So let's just get the other view up. There we go. There we go. Okay, so let's go through these. Okay, so on the website now, I've actually I've got a captcha for login and stuff like that. It kind of helps me out more than anything. So you've got this "I'm not a robot" thing. You tick that, and it'll bring up a little captcha puzzle, and I think that once you've done that a couple of the times on the same machine, it's verified that your account's okay. The Hydra's in the chat as well. Hello. So once you've done it a couple of times and it recognizes your machine, it shouldn't bring it up again. It should just put a little tick in the "I'm not a robot" thing, and then you can log in. That was mainly so I can stop bots from registering, and also trying to guess users' emails and stuff like that. I've already got protection against that anyway. It will just lock you out if you attempt to log in more than 5 times on the same account. It'll just lock you out for a period of time, and if you're a repeat offender, it'll block you, put you on a block list. So but now that's there, and that helps. So I just wanted to mention that. I'm also looking into a new payment method on the website as well. So if you're paying to be a Prime member or something like that, I've had a couple of users email me and say that they don't like PayPal for some reason as a payment gateway. So on my site, when you go to buy something, you press the Pay Now, and it will take you to PayPal, and you've got the option of either logging into PayPal and using your account, or checking out as a guest, so you can just put your card details or whatever in. But there have been users from the US actually, which is weird, but yeah, I've had a couple of US users, a couple from Europe as well, saying that they'd rather not use PayPal. So I'm going to look into another payment gateway, maybe Stripe or something like that. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the poll. Now, for those of you that watched the last live stream, Jai Peng Z is in the chat. He says hello, mate. Yeah, for those of you that was in the last stream, you will know that I put a poll up on the community tab on my YouTube channel, and so you're already aware of that. But for those that weren't in the last stream, you won't know what that's about. So basically, I've got a Patreon page. It's not doing particularly well. The plan was I set up a Patreon page, and on it I just said the suggested donation amount is $1. I want to keep it nice and low. I'm not going to put any tiers or anything in there. Just keep it nice and simple. And if you want to help me continue making the YouTube content that I make, put $1 in the kitty kind of thing. It hasn't done that well, so I put a poll on the YouTube community page just to get a feel of what the reasons are. So this is the poll. So the options were digital meat content is not deserving of my support. I've got 6% for that, so that's good. Lack of Patreon tiers and all goals. I've got 12% of the votes for that. Can't afford the suggested $1 a month. I've got 29% there, and that is strange because, I mean, I put it up there as an option, and I just thought, well, I'd like to know the answer. But it is weird because you're going to need to be able to afford a copy of Cinema 4D and a computer capable of running it to benefit from my tutorial. So I did think that was a bit of a weird one. And, you know, if you are living in the third world or whatever, and you've got a computer, you're doing all right. But the big surprise here is I don't like Patreon as a platform. It's got 41% of the vote so far, which is Serge is in the chat as well. Hi. So yeah, the majority of people actually don't like Patreon as a platform. So that tells me something. Maybe I should just host any kind of donation or whatever on my website myself. Which would make sense if the users don't like Patreon and, you know, I can cut them out as a middleman if I do it myself. So there's always that option. And then the other option was other, please comment below. And 12% of people ticked that and then didn't comment below. So that was super useful. But what's more telling than anything about this is I've got 17,000 YouTube subscribers and only 17 people were bothered to actually take part in this poll. So as you can see here, 17 votes. So what I'm going to do is reiterate again, please fill out this poll, and I'm going to leave it up, and I'm not going to draw any conclusions from it because, like I said, there's only 17 votes thus far. So I'll reiterate again, if you could go and fill out that poll, that'd be great because it tells me what I need to know to move forward with that. I can make a decision about it. So that's great. Okay, so what's the next thing that I want to talk about? Oh yeah, so sorry, I'm in and ahhing all over the place. Talk about creating a Prime promote. Oh yeah, that was it. I've had quite a few messages through email and the Facebook page saying from people that are viewers of my tutorials already, and they've got hold of me and saying your Prime membership, what's in it? And that's a really good point because I've got a Prime membership area, and if you're not a Prime member and you try to go in this area, you basically get a page that says this: sorry, but it appears you're trying to access some restricted content. But for users that aren't Prime members, they don't know what's in there. So I'm currently halfway through making a Prime promotion, some Prime promotion material. So instead of getting that page, you'll get something that's a bit more informative. You'll also get a promo video as well. So, and that promo video, I'll be putting at the end of my tutorial video. So every other tutorial video, it'll be, or maybe every 2 or 3, I'll be putting the Prime promotion at the end of it. Just a 30-second blast, and it will let you know what you can expect to find in the Prime membership area. If you don't know what the Prime membership area is, it's basically you pay $20 for a year's access, 12 months, and you get a load of extras and stuff like that, and something else that I need to talk about as well is about Prime members live streams. So I think when the Prime membership, well, if and when the Prime membership gains a bit more traction, I'm going to look into doing Prime members live streams as well. So just for Prime members. Okay. Also, I'm going to be doing a Prime membership giveaway during this stream. So what I'll do is I'll scroll through the chat at the end of this stream and pick a name at random, and that person will get a 12-month Prime membership. So what I'll do is I'll contact you via your YouTube channel and determine whether you're actually signed up as a normal user on my website, and if not, I'll direct you to do that, and then I'll give you a Prime membership for 12 months. Okay, so now all the digital meat stuff is out the way. Let's let's have a chat. Sorry, I'm just trying to bring my Streamlabs back up. Let's have a chat about... Dorian's in the chat. He says, sounds nice. Thanks, buddy. Let's have a chat about Cinema 4D in general, I suppose. And I suppose we should start with Maxon's subscription model. I'm going to give you a little blast of what not only I think, but what other people are saying. And if you could give me your opinion in the chat as well, that would be great, because then I can read it out live, and then we can have a discussion about anything you've got to say about it in the chat as well. So I think that would be good. I've actually posted this live stream in several places. My website, on the blog page. In fact, yeah, we can see like an Inception type deal going on. That's strange. Okay. So yeah, I've posted it on the blog, C4D Cafe. If you're not familiar with C4D Cafe, go there, check out the forum, sign up as well for a free account, and it's really useful. It's really good there. So yeah, I've posted all over the shop, in my Facebook page, the Twitter, all of that stuff. If you're watching it from any of those locations, you'll be able to see the chat on screen. But if you want to partake, if you want to actually contribute in the chat, I suggest you follow the video back to its YouTube link, and you'll see a chat in the sidebar, and you can contribute there to this discussion. So yeah, if anyone's got any opinions or anything they want to say about the Maxon subscription model, I'd love to hear it. So type away in the chat. Got a few new people here. MDF Muse says, thanks for your time and effort on our behalf. Thank you very much. Thanks for the live. Always love your content. From Hypronic. Hyproink? I think that's how you say it. But yeah, cheers. Thank you very much. Okay, so there's a few camps of people so far. There's those that think the new subscription model is fine. There are those that think that Maxon has wandered into a forest and is about to commit seppuku. And then there's the likes of me that are just kind of lurking in the shadows, waiting to see where the dust settles, really. I've been very quiet on the C4D cafe forums, and I've also been pretty quiet on my own website in terms of videos and the blog. I haven't really said too much about it. I've done some content, as you can see here, about Cinema 4D R21, although they don't specifically say they're about R21, because I'm just thinking about in a year's time, it's not going to be relevant with, you know, if I've got a title saying Cinema 4D 21 and blah, 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 it's not going to be relevant in a year's time or a couple of years' time. So I've just put, you know, Cinema 4D, the Intel denoiser. And in the video, I do stress that if you're using a version before R21, you're going to be out of luck if you're looking for this. So that's how I'm handling that side of things. But yeah, I've been pretty quiet on the subscription stuff. So Dorian in the chat says they finally did a good thing with the subscription. Okay, so there's 1-4 there. My personal opinion is, I think for new C4D users, or it's a really good thing. And I think it's a really good thing for people that were on, say, like some of the different tiers that they used to have. I've always been a studio user because I need to make sure that I can cover everything in it. So I don't want anything missing. So I've always gone for studio. But there are those that are on broadcast or prime, and it's a good thing for them. And I'll go into why. I'll go into why it's a good thing for them in a minute. And yeah, like I said, for new users, it's a really good thing as well. But for the likes of me, who are perpetual license holders, perpetual studio license holders, it's a little bit, and I suppose we should talk about why. First of all, I think getting rid of the tiers is actually a good move overall. I think getting rid of broadcast and Prime and all the rest of it and just having one version of Cinema 4D is a good thing. Yeah, I think whittling it down to one version is a good thing generally overall, but there have been some unintended consequences. Well, at least what I assume is unintended consequences. Just looking at the chat, we've got Sebastian in the chat saying, regarding subs, would be okay if they kept MSA around. Perpetually is getting the less attractive option, unfortunately. Personally, I don't have an issue with going subscription opposed to perpetual. But I can understand anyone that has a problem with it. Well, this is what I'm about to get to. So, like I said, overall, I think getting rid of the tiers is a good thing and just having one version of Cinema 4D. And again, like I said, it's good for new customers. But if you see me looking off to the side, I've got notes, so I'm just sort of looking at them and trying to make sure that I cover everything that I want to cover. As I was saying, but what the upshot of getting rid of those tiers is now, and then moving over to the subscription model, that is this. Say you were a perpetual license holder, but a perpetual license holder for Prime or broadcast or something like that. So, for instance, Prime MSA users now get upgraded to what is effectively an R21 Studio perpetual license for the cost of 250 quid. Well, $250. While loyal studio users like myself are left feeling a bit shafted, because basically a Prime MSA user is getting what is essentially studio for $250, whereas I've been paying whatever the MSA has been costing over the last few years, 700 odd quid plus VAT. So I can understand how studio perpetual license holders are sort of like, really, especially as they had to put the initial upfront cost in. So I suppose you could make that comparison with new users as well. So whereas a new user can come along and go, yeah, I'll sign up to the subscription, and that's going to cost me, the $800 a year or whatever it is. You've got the likes of me, which have been a perpetual studio license holder, that not only has been keeping it up to date with the MSA, but had to fork out the initial cost of like $3,500. And now someone else has just been able to walk in, get access for way less, So I can understand how perpetual studio users would feel a little bit gutted about that. It seems like if you are a perpetual studio license holder and have been for the last few years, I can understand how those people will feel that they're being punished for being loyal, basically. You might see it that way, you might not. I mean, I'm kind of in between, really, because things change and they move forward. But on the other hand, there might be this residual feeling of, really? Davo says in the chat, Maxon seem headstrong on the approx 1,000 perpetual upgrade costs for future releases, e.g. 21 to 22. I'm going to get to that after I've sort of gone through a few of my, because this is a new development. So I'm going to talk about that after I've gone through the bits that I was aware of. Something else that should be noted, Studio Perpetual users will get a 20% discount on a 2-year subscription if they make the switch to a subscription. I'm not going to be doing that. In fact, I'll tell you where I am. I renewed my MSA just before the September announcement of Cinema 4D R21 and the announcement of the new upgrade path. So I'll tell you where I am. I upgraded the MSA that I had, and I did it before they said you can't do that anymore. And I did that, I think it was in July I did that. And then this announcement came out. So largely for me, it's not going to affect me until next year. Now, there was some confusion about what that meant for the likes of me. So I actually reached out to Maxon UK and I phoned them. And I've got to say, they were super helpful. They told me all the information that they had. And there was some information and some questions that I asked that they couldn't answer because they just didn't know. But all in all, they were really helpful. But this is where I am. I upgraded my MSA. Well, not upgraded. I renewed my MSA. And then the announcement happened. And obviously I wondered where I stood. So I made a couple of calls. And this is what I gleaned from those conversations and also looking at this C4D Cafe forum. This is what I can figure out. I have the option to convert my perpetual license into a subscription and get a 20% discount for 2 years for a 2-year subscription. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm basically going to do is hang on to my copy of R21, which is a perpetual license. So that's mine forever, right? Now, if I do convert over to a subscription, it's no longer perpetual. I haven't got a copy of Cinema 4D R21 till the end of time, right? I'll have a subscription, and if I let the subscription lapse, well, then I'd no longer have access to R21. Now, I don't like the idea of that, and I also don't like the idea that I won't have access to old versions of Cinema 4D. Someone else is in the chat, Suptram, says C4D is the king and Blender is just a satellite. C4D is much more powerful than Blender, so don't put Blender beside C4D and make some joke here. I'm actually going to talk about Blender in a bit, but we'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, where I'm at is I'm basically going to hang on to my perpetual license of Cinema 4D R21, and I'm not going to upgrade it to a subscription before my MSA runs out in July next year, because what that basically means is I lose the perpetual nature of my license, and now it's a subscription. And if my subscription lapses, I no longer have access to Cinema 4D R21. And it's funny because when this news came out, the first thing I did was log into my ePortfolio, download all the versions of Cinema 4D that I've previously had access to, and then put them on an external hard drive with the serial numbers. And that is because, and the reason that I don't want to subscribe and do it that way is because I've already invested $3,500 up front for a perpetual license. I've already paid my dues in that respect. And like I said, things change, but I need to have access to old versions of Cinema 4D. Old versions that I've already paid for, and that's why I put them on the external hard drive. If I move over to the submodel, I think they said that they'll at least keep 3 versions back of Cinema 4D up there, but I need to know that if I open a copy of Cinema 4D, it's going to work and all the rest of it. And that's mainly because, and I had to do this the other day as well, I had to open up some old files and I had to use an older version of Cinema 4D to do it. And obviously now in Cinema 4D you have to log into it as well. So if I've got a lapsed subscription and I open up a copy of R21, then I've got to sign in and it's not usable. Whereas if I've got a perpetual license for that, I can use it whenever I like, forever. And that's quite important to me. If I need to open up an old project, say I've got a client that's got something in there that they want to get access to, I mean, I send them the files anyway, but say I set up some kind of complex rig that is fit for purpose for something that I need now, but it was done in an old version of Cinema 4D. And that file, well, I'll get to that in a minute, but it just means that I can install an old version of Cinema 4D and get access to it. Something else as well, plugins that worked in older versions of Cinema 4D that no longer work in newer versions, that are part of something that I need to look at. That's also something that I'm considering. I just basically want to have access to all the versions of Cinema 4D that I had in my e-portfolio. So there's that side of things. Who knows? I might change my tune and I might go subscription. Who knows? But what I'd really like is an upgrade path for my perpetual license. So not only have I got access to R21, but when R22 comes out, I can pay, like I did with the MSA, for my upgrade path to, you know, the next version, R22. And I've got access to R22 forever for the rest of time, and I've still got access to R21 for the rest of time, because that's effectively what it was like with the MSA. As long as I kept the MSA up to date, I had access to all the previous versions of C4D forever. But are you going more than 3 versions back usually? Well, like I said, just this week I had to go back to a scene that I had in R17. So that's 18, 19, 20, 21. But that's 4 versions back already. And I did that this week. For plugins, let us hope Insidium will bring a bridge for 21 as well as 20. Yeah. Well, actually, I haven't even tested if the bridge works in this one. In fact, I haven't really tested plugins in R21 as of yet. I'm still just looking at what's already in there before I flesh it out with plugins and stuff. So I haven't got a clue about what works and what doesn't. So that's something that I'm going to look at soon. I've just seen the streams froze, so I'm just renewing it. Okay, so what do you guys think about the subscription? I'd like to hear your opinion in the chat. That would be great. But for me, I'm going to be hanging on to my R21 perpetual license, and I will not be upgrading it to the subscription model purely because of the way I work. I just need to have access to old versions, and yeah, although that doesn't matter from 21 onwards, because effectively you're still going to have to log into your Maxon account when you open up R21 onwards. So I suppose instead of having the e-portfolio, you have my Maxon account, and where you go there, it sort of tells you what licenses you've got access to. And actually, someone can put me straight as well. Say I did up. If I'm wrong about this, I'd like to hear it in the chat. Yeah, so someone can tell me in the chat if I'm barking up the wrong tree here. Say I upgraded to a subscription model. In fact, I forgot what I was about to say. I can't remember now. That's going to bug me. It will come back to me. But yeah, basically that's the long and short of it. I'd like to have access to old versions. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. When you open up Maxon and log in, yeah. So when you, I'll get there in a minute. My Maxon account, the new account type thing, it will list what licenses you've got there. Now, if I've got a perpetual license, obviously that's going to be there forever. But if I go to a subscription model, this is what I was going to ask. If I go to a subscription model, okay, now I'm on the subscription. When they upgrade, so say I'm using R21, I love it. R22 comes out, and I'm on the subscription. So now it says you've got a license for Cinema 4D, and the new version's out. Do I still have access to R21? And if I do, for how long? Will it eventually disappear? I mean, obviously, if it's a couple of decades, well, then, yeah, who cares? Or even a decade. But if it's only going to be 3 years, I've got an issue with that. Well, they didn't say it was only going to be 3 years. To be fair to them, they said that it was going to be a minimum of 3 years. So you know. I'm just going to look at the chat. Dave McGovern just posted today in the cafe they're providing an upgrade path but won't be advertised on their website and will need to contact local reseller. Now, I was actually getting to this. I've actually got in my notes there are rumblings of a perpetual license upgrade path. Okay, so I'll get to that in a minute. There's something else that might not be good for Maxon in here as well. Previous Prime users. So say you were a user that was a Prime perpetual license holder and you had an MSA for Prime. So Prime MSA holders that were comfortable with the fact that they were paying $250 for their MSA every year. Are they going to be happy moving over to a $720 annual subscription model? Now, I know that they've automatically been sort of shoved across. If they're up, if they're moving over to the subscription model, that's fine for now. But are they going to be repeat customers next year? Because if they don't need the full Cinema 4D, tough luck, okay, because there's only one tier now. But if they were happy at that price point of $250, are they going to be happy when, come the end of next year, they're going to have to fork out 720 quid for an annual subscription? And that's the other thing as well. It's not a monthly subscription. Well, I say it is, but you pay it once annually. So it's an annual subscription. So, call it what you want, but it is annual subscription. So for the hobbyist or whatever, that could be a big hit. And in fact, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Now, Blender was mentioned earlier, and I must admit, after all this dropped and I was looking it up and down, getting confused about how it works out, Blender we're talking about, what was it, 2.8? Now, I've looked at Blender in the past and went, nah, it's not for me. But I've got to say, this new version looks all right. And I had a good look at it. And it's still clunky, in my opinion. But I think it could be a threat to Maxon in the future. Especially if they roll out something that's similar to MoGraph. So, yeah. I'd be very wary of that if I was Maxon. So, who knows? Developers may be doing other stuff with other 3D software as well, like open source stuff. Who knows? But for the current time, I looked at it. It's looking more impressive. I'll give it that. It still looks a bit clunky to me. So, but the fact that I went and actually had a look is mental. Because before, in years gone by, I've pretty much dismissed Blender. I didn't like the UI. I didn't like the way they went about doing things. I mean, right click for select. But apparently they've sorted that out as well. They've made it a user option. So, Okay, so let's move on to the upgrade path. Just going to have a look at the chat quick. MDF Muse. Maxon told me they will offer perpetual license ongoing. Okay, yeah. I'll be staying perpetual upgrade. I don't mind the phone home every 14 days. Okay. So you will have a choice between subscription and perpetual. Well, yeah, I'm going to stick on perpetual because I just want access, basically. Basically, if they're offering an upgrade path, it's going to be, as someone's just alluded to, I've got in my notes here, there have been some rumblings of a perpetual license upgrade path. I have many questions, and I'm sure the rest of you do too. I'm just going to get through the chat first. Insidium told me they officially do not support R20 and are working on an official release. Okay, that's good to know. Blender freaked me out when tried it several years ago. With this announcement, I've installed the latest Blender 2.8 to slowly learn over the next couple of years. Yes, exactly. So this is something that Maxon might want to be wary of. There might be a lot of people looking at Blender now, which we don't want, really. I mean, I don't want. I run a C4D YouTube channel, and I'd like to continue running a C4D YouTube channel. I love C4D. I think it's intuitive. You know, it's not a buggy mess, and you know, it has had bugs in the past, but they get sorted, and for the most part, it's stable. And then, especially as coming from my background as well, I'm freelance now. Barely. I'm scraping through at the moment, but I worked from 2010 to 2018 August as, you know, someone that was employed by a company, and my day-to-day I was using 3ds Max, and I've got to say I wasn't impressed. It was not stable, to say the least, especially on lower end hardware. You know, just lock up and die, and sometimes I'd open the UV editor. I'd literally put a UV thing on the top of the stack and then press the open editor button, and it would just crash. And it was like, really, really good. I've lost an hour's work there. I should, you know, save more often, learn my lesson. But for the most parts, Cinema 4D is fantastic. I love it. And it's just, this has soured the drink a little bit for some people. I'm still sort of, I don't know what I'm still thinking, to be honest. But I tell you what, the fact that today that they've come out and said we're going to have an upgrade path for perpetual license holders, I'm so, you know, there's a bit of a sigh of relief there for me, because it's like, okay, so that's good news as far as I'm concerned. But I have a few questions. The obvious, how much? Okay, so the number one is the obvious, how much. Number two is, will I still have access to older C4D versions, and if I do, for how long? Then again, if I get the option of grabbing the installer in its entirety from the website, if I can download the whole thing and then save it on an external somewhere, I'll do that. And number three is, does it include Cineversity? Does this upgrade path include Cineversity? Because that's one of the things that stung for me a little bit, because you're getting rid of the MSA and saying, well, you can be a subscriber, you know, you can move over to being a subscriber. Well, I don't want to be a subscriber. I want to be a perpetual license holder. But one of the punishments there for being loyal and being a loyal perpetual license holder was you lost access to Cineversity. And I just thought, really, after so long of not only putting up the upfront cost of $3,500 and then paying the MSA for God knows how many years, I lose access to Cineversity, which is such a shame, because it's great. And you don't, even though they post on their YouTube channel and Vimeo and all that kind of stuff, there's a level of access that you don't get unless you're, a subscriber to Cineversity. So, but then again, you could do that yourself separately. I think it was $100 a year or something like that. The last time I looked, anyway. For Cineversity, I'm saying now $100. I think it was for a year's subscription. Just looking at the chat, Dave, €1,000 including tax approx. Dave mentioned €850. Okay. The 850 was excluding tax. Okay, so you're looking at about $1,000. I gather that's not going to translate differently. Will the currency translate differently across borders? So will it be a different price in the UK in pounds, or are they just going to say it's $1,000 in pounds as well? Who knows? I mean, I'm going to bite my tongue. I'm going to hold on for now. Because I don't want to make assumptions about what they're doing with the upgrade path. But I just want to say, thank God that they are doing that. And thank God that they put that out today before I did this stream, or else my information would be late. I'd be, me with a bunch of other people in the chat will be whinging about the subscription model and how it's not good for us. But like I said, it is good for some people. For new users, it's fantastic. And for people coming across from other 3D software, it's fantastic. And I should imagine I'm just trying to think, who's it good for? I mean, for companies, I suppose it's good as well. If they can buy bulk buy licenses and it's on a subscription model, they can decide whether they want to, you know, be on it or not, and how many seats they've got. I'm not one of these people, so it's not really something to think about for me. I mean, like I said, I've said this before in other streams, Digital Meat, which is my website, which I think we're still staring at right now, aren't we? Sorry, I need to bring my Streamlabs up. No, we're just looking at me. But Digital Meat is essentially me. There's no one else. It's a one-man band. I run the website, you know, I set that up and blah, 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 all the rest of it. Digital Meat as an entity is me. Okay, so it's not like I run a company and I've got to worry about other C4D users that I've got to get on a, you know, licensed server or whatever, you know. So it's just, oh shit. I think I just tried to open up Streamlabs twice. Okay, sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I think it's really good for new users. I'm not sure. It's probably all right for what I call bedroom warriors. So it's people that are, how will it affect people that are using Cinema 4D, but they're not actually generating any cash from it? So what I call bedroom warriors. I used to be one. I used to play around with it and make things and all of that kind of stuff, but I wasn't really using Cinema 4D as part of any kind of revenue stream or anything like that. I should imagine for them it's okay. I mean, I actually want to bring this point up as well, actually. Maybe the good thing to do in those circumstances would actually be to do what 3ds Max did with, let's have a look. They've got like an indie model. So that might be something to consider as well, because I think what this will do is encourage, okay, let me just flip over to the other screen. Okay, so this might be something to consider for Maxon. Let me just have a look at the chat. How much? It's going to be the same as upgrades before without MSA. So R21 to R22 Perpetual will cost around £1,000. £1,000 a year. I mean, that's expensive. That's going to hurt me, definitely. I mean, for companies and stuff, that's nothing. But for the likes of me, that's going to really hurt me big time. If you're not trading in your Perpetual R21 and you add a subscription, you don't get the discount then, of course. If you're not trading in your Perpetual R21 and you add a subscription, you don't get the discount. Yeah, I'm aware of that. But if I swap over with R21, you know, if I swap over my Perpetual license to a subscription license, then I've lost my Perpetual license effectively, when I don't want to. Maybe I should consider swapping over. What's the worst that can happen? Who knows? Jamie Powell in the chat says, thanks for the great content over the years, dude. So much support. Thank you. Sebastian says, but you can keep your R21 Perpetual as a fallback, so to say. Yes, exactly. That's why I want to hang on to it. How long the installer will be available in the My Maxon account, I don't know. But you can download the full installer as an archive. Yeah, which is what I'd do. Yeah. The issue with the AD stuff, I'm not sure what you're saying about it. It's that it's the indie is not everyone. Jesus, dude. Formulate a better sentence. But the issue with the AD stuff is it's that it's the indie is not everywhere in the world, and the offer is only for 1 year. After that, you have to use it at full price. Right, I get what you're saying. You're talking about the 3ds Max, the Autodesk indie license. Well, yeah, even though that's the case, you know, it's only available for 1 year and only in England and France or wherever. Yeah, you're right, that is. But that doesn't have to be the case. Cinema 4D could do something similar for C4D users. Okay, so if you guys don't know what the indie license is, basically, get 3ds Max Indie. So basically, what they're saying is, anyone that, I think the general idea is this, anyone that earns under £100,000 a year or $100,000 or whatever it is can buy 3ds Max Indie for £275 for the year. So that's something that would be absolutely brilliant for bedroom warriors. So people that aren't really making any money off the back of Cinema 4D, but they love it, they enjoy using it. Maybe they put up the odd video on YouTube, or they make stuff, but they're not doing it in a serious revenue generating capacity. Maybe that would be the good thing to do for those kinds of people. Put up a sort of indie license saying if you, and it doesn't even have to be as high as £100,000 either. You could say if you're making under £50,000, you can have it for this price, because then what you do is you'd actually convert people that might look at Cinema 4D and go, Jesus, that's expensive, I'm just going to steal it instead. Maybe you convert those people into people that would actually go, oh yeah, that's really good money. And you know, it's just something to think about. I could be wrong. Your opinions on that, you can tell me in the chat if you think it's a good idea or not. I'm sure that's what Maxon was going for with the subscription model, to be honest. But for the average bedroom warrior, I still think is a little bit high. You know, you've got a teenager that wants to learn it, and they're, say, 16, 17 years old. That's way out of their price range. Even the subscription, especially if, as you don't pay it monthly, you pay for the full lot for the year, don't you? So, yeah, a teenager that wants to learn this stuff is still out of his reach, so, or her reach. Indie licenses are the smart way to go about it, in my opinion, says Sebastian. Maybe so. Maybe so. Who knows? But yeah, I think that, like I said, the bedroom warrior, you're just going to force them into a position of maybe being a little thieving bastard. So, well, you're not going to force them into that, but they're going to make that decision. Maybe. Okay, so I think that's basically the subscription model talked about and dealt with. I think it's good for some, not for others. And with this announcement that they're going to put an upgrade path there for perpetual license holders, maybe there's a middle ground that's going to be met there. If it is £1,000, I think that's a little bit of still a bit of a kick in the arse. I mean, I was paying the MSA and it was like, what, 650 quid? I was happy with that. And then they put it up. So with tax included, it worked out about 800 odd quid. And it was like, that's a sting in the tail. And now, effectively, what's going to be the MSA, I mean, it's not really the MSA, but it's an upgrade path for petrol users, has now gone up again. So it's going to be £1,000. And if it doesn't include Cineversity, that upgrade path, well, it's going to be over £1,000 because you're going to put another 100 or whatever quid on top of that. And I've never been a fan of renting software either. I want to own it. If I buy something, I've bought it, you know? So I don't know. Like I said, some people feel that way. Some people don't. You know, it's horses for courses, you know. And I don't want to be on this stream making an objective opinion. I don't want to say this is objectively shit, because it's not. This really helps some people and doesn't others. And I suppose it's what your point of view is. It's like art. It's subjective. So I don't want to shit on this at all, because it could be really good in some ways, and it really could be really bad in others. And the fact that what I like about Maxon is they're listening. Obviously, David, the CEO, is not deaf, and he not only is he on the C4D Cafe forums, but so are Maxon staff as well. So it's not like they're blind to this. They make sure that they're listening, and they make sure they can see what is going on. And I've got to say, you got to give them that. A lot of companies will ignore their own forums, let alone a third-party forum, you know. So it's great that they're doing that. And the fact that David, I mean, that's unprecedented. The CEO of a company looking at a forum, you know, and being on the forum and engaging as well. There was a post called An Open Letter to Maxon, and David was on there, and he's been addressing concerns and actually giving answers, which is more to this, you know, this, which is better than some. as far as CEOs go. So I must give them a round of applause for that. And the fact that with the news today that they're looking at an upgrade path for perpetual users means that they actually looked at those criticisms and they didn't go, oh, fuck you or whatever. They actually listened and went, okay, well, it seems that there's a demographic of our customers that would like something. So, but instead of ignoring them, they have actually gone, okay, let's see what we can do for them. It's early days yet, but let's see how it goes. Just looking at the chat again. Subscriptions are, this is Jeff H. Subscriptions of bean counters. It allows the company to easily project revenue streams. It's a lot easier to count subscriptions versus estimating each year how many customers will buy MSA or new. That is a good point. Yeah, if you've got subscribers, if you've got a certain amount of subscribers right now, right this second, that's a good way to make projections about the next year, I suppose. So there is that. You're right about that. But then again, you could say that about the MSA, because if you've got a load of people that have just bought the MSA, you could look at that and say they're likely to re-up next year as well. But it's I'll find my words in a minute. Jesus. But yeah, it's actually cool that you brought up projected revenue streams, actually, because just thinking about it. Well, yeah, I suppose you could do that with the MSA as well, to some degree anyway. But, yeah, I don't know. It also allows the developers to relax development. They don't need to force new features with each new release to entice customers to buy the next version. I suppose that's true. In fact, actually, you guys can clear something up for me. Say I move over to a subscription. I'm not doing that, but let's just, hypothetically, let's say I converted my perpetual license into a subscription license, right? And then the new version of Cinema 4D comes out, and I go, yeah, I'm not that bothered. But then again, I wouldn't be able to use the one before it either if I let the subscription lapse. And that, again, that's the problem. I couldn't just sort of go, no, we're not going to bother with this one. But let's just say that you had a subscription, you let it lapse. How long do you get to come back onto it before Maxon sort of cuts it off and says you have to pay full price? You have to pay for a full new subscription. Or doesn't it matter at all? If you're already on a subscription, do you get a discount if you're going to continue that subscription the year after? I honestly don't know how this works. It's confusing me now. Okay, so yeah, Jeff said it allows the developers to relax development. They don't need to force new features, blah, 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 blah. No, the free student version of Autodesk is for anyone. Okay. Mohammed Basil says C4D updates did actually count till now rather than a bug fix or adding bugs like Autodesk. Now C4D got regular subscribers. Will the developers go lazy? That's a good question. I don't think they will, because I think the developers at Maxon have actually take pride in their work. I mean, when they come out with a big new feature or whatever, and in fact, I want to talk about this as well. That's not always the best thing. I've seen a few people in the forums at C4D Cafe sort of saying, oh, this means that they might not, talking about R21 actually, they said, oh, there's not really anything big, anything substantial in R21, and maybe this is the way it's going to go if now they've got a subscription model, they get lazy or whatever. But there's something to be said about not boshing out new big updates every year. And I've said this in the previous stream. I actually appreciate when a company says, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Instead of just cramming our software with shiny new features every year that might have bugs that we can't catch up with because we're too busy creating the next big new feature. I actually do appreciate a company that will, hone and work on the stability of the platform or of the program, the application. For instance, in this version, they've done some viewport speed upgrades. Basically, they've made it smoother. Timeline upgrades as well. They made it super quick and it's nice and slick and all that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of stuff. Although I do like the shiny new stuff, but that's the kind of stuff that's bread and butter that I really appreciate, because, like I said, I worked with 3ds Max for the good part of a decade, and it was a mess, I've got to say. And like I said, it wasn't very stable, and I'd be gutted if Cinema 4D started turning into that, because so far for me it's been slick. You know, you might get the odd crash now and again, but that, for me, that has been... Last year, I think I had one crash in Cinema 4D, and you might be thinking, well, you weren't pushing it then. But I've got pretty good hardware. It's not the best, but it's good enough. But I really appreciate that about Cinema 4D. It's slick, it's stable, and I'd like it to remain that way. So, you know, for the people that are moaning about, oh, there's no big update, well, that's fine, as long as they're keeping Cinema 4D running tickety-boo and the underlying core and engine slick, fast, and all the rest of it. I can deal with that. I can deal with a year where you don't get a massive, big new feature. I'd argue that in this one, the big new feature is the field forces anyway. So, but yeah, I really do appreciate having that. Okay. All right. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the chat again. Dave O says, the thing with MSA is you could leave it for a few years, then pay the extra cost for the upgrade, e.g. skip 3 to 4 versions. The issue with the subscriptions is if you stop paying, then you lose the access. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you're right. With the MSA, you could leave it and then come back. Jeff H says, got a bolt. I'll check out the stream later. Okay, cheers, mate. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for participating in the chat as well. Really appreciate that. Thanks. Sebastian says, to me, R21 is a good release. Not exactly a milestone, but lots of useful stuff that make everyday use much more enjoyable. I agree, and this is what I was saying about my stability concerns and stuff like that. It's really nice to see a company that takes care of that side of things and really... You know, it's considered. It's not just let's cram in a new big feature every year, and to help with the bugs and all the rest of it. I mean, like I said, in 3ds Max, when I've been using that over the past decade, you know, they do a new update, and it's like, Jesus Christ! Like, I remember thinking in 2016, I was like thinking, it's 2016. Can you sort this UI out? Because it looks like Windows 98. It's just terrible. It's not slick. Sometimes when you're scrolling up and down the side, you'd go to grab something and you'd be pressing Christ knows what, because the target for the button was actually bigger than the button itself. You know, things like that. Just, and it was annoying. I've never had that problem with Maxon and Cinema 4D, so I really appreciate that. We got someone called Mondi Boutre saying, hi mate. I'm having a strange problem with Cinema 4D R21. Every time I try to render, this pop-up, the external render is calculating an image. Do you want to stop it? Any help, please? Now, I've got something to say about this, because I've seen a few people post this. Not just post it, actually contact me about this. Now, you know, strike me down if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, this is a bug concerning a cracked version of Cinema 4D. So, Mondi, you've got a cracked version of Cinema 4D, and that's why it's happening. Now, I've had a couple of people, and this baffles me. It always baffles me. Like the level of, I don't know, non-self-awareness. Like, I've had people getting hold of me for the past couple of weeks. People going, hi, I wondered if you could help me out. I'm having this bug with Cinema 4D. And I've gone, it's because you're using an illegal copy. Please don't contact me. And please don't ask me for help regarding stolen software. Because Digital Meat does not condone the use of that. And it never will. Bye-bye. And the reason that I think that your problem is due to the fact that your software is cracked is because I frequent some forums that indulge in that kind of behaviour just to keep an eye on what's going on, largely to see if any of my content's going up there. But yeah, the reason I know that that's a symptom of a cracked version of R21 is because it's all over the forums where they're supplying the cracked version of 21, saying, "Oh, this is happening, help." So yeah, Graphos has just reiterated what I've said in the chat, saying Mondi Boutros, don't use cracked version, fixed. And that's pretty much what I'm going to tell you. So yeah, Davo says, yeah, I like R21 also. Haven't had the time to delve deep into it yet, but like Forces. Yeah, same here. I've like I said, I've done a couple of videos on R21, you know, just sort of on overview stuff, like the new icons and the Intel denoiser. Only a couple. I haven't really delved into the field forces yet. In fact, I'm going to do an entire course about fields in general, but that's going to be part of my Prime membership, I'm afraid. And I know that a lot of my regular viewers are going to be sad to hear that, but I've got to find a way to keep Digital Meat going. I've got to find a way to generate revenue and actually keep this ship sailing, because if I don't, unfortunately, within the next 6 to 12 months, I might have to shut down. I might have to shut Digital Meat down, which is a shame, but I'm not going to bitch on about that in this stream. We're talking about R21 and we're talking about the subscription. So let's have a look at the chat again. It'd be great if Maxon concentrates on updating older versions, such as older features, sorry, not older versions, such as body paint and UV unwrapping improvements. Yes, I agree. You're preaching to the choir there, because if you go to my tutorials page on my website and go to the UV unwrap panel, you'll notice that all those tutorials are to do with Rhizome UV. And that's basically because C4D's tools are, in my opinion, not fit for purpose, and that's why I'm using an external UV editor. And Rhizome is fantastic, I've got to be honest. Saying that, I have got to give, tip my cap to Maxon, because in this version they have made some improvements to the UV tools. I haven't delved into them yet. I've had a quick look. Just the fact that they've now got a gimbal that you can grab on to move stuff around is a godsend, because before you'd grab an island and you'd move it, but you can just move it right like this. You'd be like this. So the fact that you can actually grab an X-axis gimbal and move it in one direction is pure bliss. I mean, something that simple. I think you could actually lock the directions actually and move it that way, but still, shouldn't have to. One thing I've struggled with in C4D is the content browser. Has that been improved in R21? And that's from Jamie Powell. I'm not sure what you mean struggled with. I mean, it works for me. Let's we got C4D open. I mean, it's pretty much the same. Oh, do you mean navigation of the content browser? If so, they have actually sort of sorted things out a little bit. Look, 3D objects, you've got volume 1 and 2 now, and it's all together kind of thing. So they have rearranged it. They've got example scenes, and then they're talking about disciplines, and then they've got features as well. And yeah, so I suppose they have reorganized a little bit, but I've not really delved into that. They've also reorganized when it comes to the menus as well. So some of you are going to find this funny, some of you are going to find it annoying. So where things used to be in the menus, they are no longer there. So tags is a perfect example. Let's get an object that I can put a tag on. If you go down here, you go, right, Cinema 4D tags. Okay, there is no Cinema 4D tags. And that's because they've rearranged things. And I've got to be honest, it actually makes more sense like this. But it will take some getting used to. That's all I say about that. As far as the menus as well, I mean, the MoGraph menu is basically the same. But there are a few things have moved around. Like if you go to, let's see, mesh, axis. I can't think now. Now that I'm looking at it, I can't think where things used to be. But yeah, they've moved a few things around. But if you did if you are finding that confusing and you want to change it back, they've actually left the option in there to do that. So down here you'll see C4D menu legacy, and if I click that, it actually switches all of that back to the way it used to be. How long that'll be there, this legacy menu, God knows. If they can leave it there, why not, you know? And also, if they are collecting data on usage and stuff like that, they can see how many people are actually using that legacy menu. That might tell them something about whether they should leave it in or not. If people prefer it, you know. Okay, going back to the chat. There is few additions, removal also, like House Builder, if I remember correctly. But now they are no more splitting into Visualize Prime Studio. Of course, because those things no longer exist. So they've, you know, reorganized things. The content browser, I mean. Not sure if answer to your question. And now they are ordered by category. Yes, correct. Did they add UDIM support? I'm not sure, actually. I wouldn't like to give you an answer without going through the full feature list. Although what I will say is, even though they didn't have support for UDIM tiles, they kind of did have UDIM support in before, because the UV space is between 0 and 1. Yeah? Okay. Well, Cinema 4D supported support for space outside of that. So say 1 and 2. It could handle that. It would go off, you know, it would go off the page and you could actually go and see that. So like, say you did something in Substance that had UDIM tiles, or another program that had UDIM tiles. You saved the object, then you opened it up in Cinema 4D, then looked at the UV. You'd still see those UVs where they were meant to be off to the side. But you just wouldn't have the UV grid in those places. So whether it supports UV grid, UDIMs, I'm not sure, but I'll have a look into that for you. Voronoi fracture? Question mark. Jamie Powell, looks great, thanks. Okay, yeah, I think it's searchable as it was before and all of that stuff. But like I said, I'm still scratching the surface at the moment. What do you guys think about the new UI? What do you think? You like it? You don't like it? What's the general consensus on the look? You know, I'm not talking about functionality at the moment. I'm just talking about the look of it. I mean, the icons I think are good. I think they're supported for high resolution screens now as well, so they should look really good. In fact, let me just test that theory by dragging this across a couple of screens. Oh, actually, they don't change. I don't know what I was thinking they would do, but I think they actually look better for like retina displays and shit like that now. So, you know. Sebastian says he loves it. Jamie says looks great. Now, I've got to say, and this might be, and again, this is a subjective opinion. Just like art, it's subjective. So, you know, whatever. This is R19, R20. Sorry. Let's get the grid back on. Now, if we compare these two, I'm just going to move this here, and I'm going to move that back. If you compare these two, this is slightly darker. The UI is slightly darker. Now, maybe it's going to take some getting used to, but my first reaction to it was, this feels claustrophobic. And I know a lot of you out there are going to hate me for saying that, and I can understand why they've done this as well. A lot of C4D users, they work long hours using C4D, and when you've got this bright thing in your face, it hurts your eyes and all the kind of, you know, and look, staring into this bright viewport, it bothers some people, it strains you, it makes you feel tired and all the rest of it. But for me, I find a bit of brightness actually keeps me awake, and I enjoy it, like staring at the sun. And yeah, so, but those things are customizable. So what I could do is actually set that up. In fact, let's move that over there for a minute. Set it up like this. I could change all this myself. So at least they give me the option to do that. I shouldn't really be moaning about this, you know? So there is that option there. The other thing that, and again, I think I can change this, is look at the color of the viewport. the background behind the grid compared with the old version. And again, this is part of the reason I think it feels claustrophobic. I quite liked this light, airy background with dark default objects like this. And in the new one, it's kind of flipped. I also like this bluey grey as well. I thought that was quite novel. But now, in a lot of ways, this reminds me of the dark theme for 3ds Max, and that's probably why I find it so depressing. But yeah, now the default object color is that, and again, you can change that. You can change that. So you know, I think actually, if you go to project settings, yeah, look, default object color. I can return that to the normal one, and I'm pretty sure I can return this to the background of R20. But as far as the icons go, I love it. I think it's all good. I think it's laid out really well. All the rest of it, like I said, I just find the view a bit claustrophobic. I know there's going to be plenty of people out there that really like it and don't find it claustrophobic as I do, and I know there's going to be some people that agree with me. And it really is just a taste thing. It's not a big deal, to be honest. But yeah, I just feel that this is like more airy and it feels roomy, and I like it. Sorry, sue me, you know. But yeah, so that's what I think about the UI. I wonder actually if I can make these changes to turn it sort of back to this kind of look. I wonder, can I save that as a preset? Can I save those color changes out as a file of some description, and if I can, where is it? Because if I can, I you know, for people that share my opinion, I might just put that file up on the website for people to download. Voronoi fracture. Is there any innovation? Not as far as I'm aware. Let's have a look. Voronoi. Well, it's not highlighted. I don't think there's been any changes there, as far as I'm aware. I'll look into it and I'll get back to you on that. Have you tried Blender 2.8 at all? I've used C4D professionally for 8 years and I feel it's behind. I've not used it yet, but I have for the first time. You know, I've looked at Blender in the past, just sort of like in general, you know, material about it and some videos, and gone, nah, this ain't for me. But I have looked at 2.8 this time, and I've looked at it and gone, yeah, maybe I'll give it a go. Who knows? I'm not saying I'm swapping over, but I'm at least saying that maybe I'll give it a look. You know? What else have we got in the chat? I really like what they did with the UI. Yeah, like I said, again, it's a taste thing, and the icons I do like. I think they're updated, aren't they? The icons in general. At least they've got a different feel to them. Yeah, I mean, the icon for subdivision surface, what's that like? Right. I'm getting confused already. Oh yeah. I'm looking right at it. There's something wrong with me. I don't know. Maybe it is the colours. Yeah, and obviously these are changed. They're rounder. They're not so cluttered actually. Yeah, I do like it. I do like the icons and stuff like that. And like I said, the colour thing's a preference. Personally, I like the rounded look of the new tab. Very personal, I know. I always feel the old one had a big... The old one has a big tab. What do you mean? Are you talking about the tabs in general, or... Let's have a look. Let's open up R20 again, so I know what you're on about. You talking about these? Because I think they're about the same size. Oh no, okay, they are big, yeah. Okay, if that's what you're talking about, anyway. Yeah, let's just keep that open just in case I need to reference it again. I do like it. It feels cleaner, says Jamie. I think it is in preference swatches. Sorry, preference schemes. Yeah, I did have a look in there. Let's have a look. Schemes and colors. Yeah, so this is where you can change things, the editor color and everything. It would be good if once you changed these, you could save it out as a preset or something. Hair colors. Or maybe it is. Maybe it's saved in preferences. Something that I'm going to have to dig into. Live free, fresh, reset. Okay. Cool, yeah. All right, cool. Okay, is there anything else? Let me just consult my list of stuff to have a little chat about. Okay, so yeah, we're just talking about the UI in general. But yeah, in general, I like it. They've moved a few things around. Like I said, I'm not totally enamoured with the dark background. It feels a bit claustrophobic for me. But that's why they give the option to change things. So, not a problem. Save as prefs. Where's that? Oh, save as preferences. Okay. Okay, maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. Like I said, I'll look into it at some point. Right, the next thing. New bevels and caps. That looks like it could be pretty cool. In fact, I haven't even looked at this at all because you can watch me get to grips with it and struggle with it. But let's have a look at the Motex because I understand it as well. It's part on anything that's got caps now. But yes. Okay, so right, this is one thing, and you might not think it's a big deal, but this is brilliant. This avoid self intersections, absolutely beautiful. Because now, like when you get to that stage, I mean, if I take that off, it basically acts like it used to. So you'll get this, you know, it'll go past its limits and be screwed up. And the reason that I like this, because you might be thinking, well, so just don't go past the limits. But you might have one piece of text where it's fine, it doesn't go past the limits, and then you might have another piece of text or an object where it does, and it's sort of part of the same object, and that's annoying. So, but with that now, avoid self-intersections, that's beautiful. And I gather if you made that editable, it would recognise that these points needed welding. Fingers crossed. Well, actually, let's test that theory, shall we? Let's put it right up, make that editable. Choose one of these pieces of text. Well, it's not actually editable, is it? So let's do that. Jesus Christ. Oh, sorry, I'm pressing the wrong button there. There we go. Okay. So now, if I was to select, say, tolerance selection, yeah. Let's get inside it, so make sure I'm not. And we have 1 point selected. Beautiful. Great. So I'm guessing it has welded it there. It's not just 2 points floating on top of each other, you know. Yeah, 1 point. Beautiful. Yeah. Works as you'd expect it to be honest. One thing that I'm interested to find out, and this is something that I mentioned in the last release, I was really happy to discover in the last release that one of the features was, that's another thing actually I didn't think about. Shortcuts, are they the same? Well, I'm glad to see that they are. Well, as far as I can tell, I just changed the view and it seemed to be working well. Okay, so I've done that, made it editable. Sorry about that noise, I've got a Windows C4D Cafe open. Now, if I delete, no, I don't want to do that. I want to actually delete the polys. So, like, yeah, as I say, in the last version, if you deleted a load of polys and then went and looked in point mode, in the last version, they did it so that it deleted the points as well. And I'm pretty sure that in the preferences, you can choose whether that's the case or not. I forgot where it is now, but yeah. But in the version before, so if you deleted your polys, you'd still have a load of points hanging about. Okay, so they sorted that issue. But what was still in the last version of Cinema 4D, and I hope they've sorted it, is if I create a cylinder and it's got caps, caps, okay. And I make this editable, and then I put a dynamic simulation on it, the caps would come off. So let's select these and let's see what happens. Oh, they weld caps now. That's good. So when you make a cylinder editable, they weld the caps now. Because before these polys would just come away from the side of this. So I'm happy about that. Great, because yeah, if I didn't want the caps welded, I could just I could just separate them or whatever. But more often than not, nearly every time I've made a cylinder editable, I want the caps to be included, you know. But yeah, as I was saying, the bevels and caps are really useful now. And also you can set up your own profile, I understand. So let's have a look at the caps. Caps, fillet, segments 3, radius. Okay. So, okay, maybe not in that instance then. Maybe it doesn't apply to everything. Does it apply for separate surfaces, filleted? Okay. Well, I need to look through this and actually play with it. But I know in the mode text at least, you've got caps that have. Okay, so you can choose the bevel shape, extended shape. Okay, so this extended shape, you can actually choose a height for them, a shape depth. That's great. How many segments? Bevel the outside, blah blah blah. And I think isn't there a drop? Oh, there we go. So you can start off with something like this. There you go. Look at that. So just in the sort of caps that you get real control. And look at this. You get profiles. Now that I've up, so I could draw out my own. Put a cosine in there or something. Oh, look at that. Yeah. So. That's quite impressive. I'm really happy they put that in there. That's great. Okay. Slobbo says the only reason to use R21 is only for the new UI change, or if you depend on the new sub service. Yeah, the subscription service. I have R20 and have no plan on updating anytime soon, unfortunately. I need my plugins working. Well, this is why you'll notice in my taskbar I've got Cinema 4D R19, 20, and now 21, and that will be the case for the next 6 months at least. And who knows? I might I might start collecting them, but you know, obviously I've got R21 because I run a YouTube channel centered around Cinema 4D. So obviously I'm going to need to inform my users about what's going on with it. But not just that, I wanted it as well, actually. And like I said, I was a perpetual user anyway, and I bought my MSA in July. So I was going to get the update anyway. It was covered under my MSA, which I bought in July. So whether or not I was moving over to the subscription or not was irrelevant because I'd be getting a copy. So just looking at the chat again, as simple things like that, be aware in which mode now you press copy, since now you can copy point, polygon, and not only the whole object. Oh, really? So what do you mean? Are you talking about? Okay, so if I've got a cube and it's got a bunch of, and I mean, okay, so make this editable. So if I copy all of these, I don't think, and then press Control C, Control V. No, nothing happens. It hasn't created a new object. But has it created a new set of points? It has. Okay, so you've got the existing points and those points. I see what you're saying now. Interesting. Well, that's kind of good, actually. At least for, you know, if I press Control C and do that. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. Shift. Okay. So I've got to think about this now. Because before... Oh yeah, no, that's what would happen. Am I going mad? I think I'm going mad. I'm just trying to think, is that what happened before? And I'm pretty sure it is. I'm confusing myself. And you've got to remember, it is late here in the UK as well. It's like, I don't know, it's like 12:30 at night. 12:30 in the morning, yeah. Okay, so let's grab these and see what happens. Okay, yeah, same thing happens. But are they detached if I Control-C, Control-V? Yes, they are. So that's cool. That's kind of like split, actually, without creating a separate object. What I'd like to call true split. Because what you really want to do is keep all of this information in the same object when you split out stuff. But you can copy and paste in another object, even with position offset. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Okay, so let's create another object. Okay, so if I select my cube, select these polygons, Control-C, then select this sphere, and make it a polygon object. I should imagine it needs polygons, and then press Control. Okay, I like this. Well done, Maxon. That's impressive. I'm going to go through all these changes in videos over the coming weeks. In fact, little tidbits like that are going to be super good. That could be a quick tip, actually, couldn't it? As simple things like that, be aware of. Oh yeah, I just read that. Thank you, Graphos. I think that's your name. Slobbo, you know what annoys me the most? That Maxon purposefully leave workflow breaking bugs only to finally fix them in R21. The edge slide tool is completely broken in R20. It's freaking insane. Yes, actually, good point. Let's have a look at R20, because I had issues with this as well. So let's make a cylinder. I bet it's absolutely fine now. But let's make something like this and make it editable, and actually make sure our caps are welded. Yeah, okay, good. So, and I found that it also depended on camera distance to the object as well, which is really weird. So if I go to the slide tool and slide like this, okay, well that's mental. Yeah, like, and if I press Control so I can make a copy, there we go. Then you can do this, and that's fine. Okay. And if you don't do it, there we go. Yeah. Now it's kind of doing it, which is kind of strange. And oh look, the cap's not welded again. Or isn't it? I'm going mad. Okay, yeah, I'm going mad. But yeah, it's it kind of jumps around a bit. It's not very cool. And if you get close like this and you need to slide this a minute amount, it just jumps all over the place. And look, I'm trying to yeah, it is a bit broke, but from what you're saying, I just closed that for no reason. What you're saying is it's kind of been sorted out in R21, is it? Let's have a look, see. I've noticed that the cylinder by default has got subdivision on its height as well now, which is interesting. So let's go for a loop. Let's go into edge mode and let's go into slide. Oh, it's not an orange highlight anymore. Unless I'm going fucking doolally. Oh no, it is. Okay, it was just, oh, maybe that was a UI bug or something. Who knows? Slide. Oh no, when you're in the slide tool, that's what happens. Okay. Okay, so let's get nice and close. Let's see if this jumps around now. Perfect. That's exactly how it should be. Absolutely perfect. So yeah, you're right. They've left some bugs in R20 and sorted them out in old 21. I'll tell you what, that's quite hard to see. There we go. So let's control and slide. Yeah, perfect. It doesn't jump. Goes in both directions as well. I've had that problem before. Yeah, looks to be working fine. The edge slide tool is completely broken, R20. It's freaking insane. Mohammed Basil, copy and paste in another object, even with position offset. Yeah, I read that already. And you force world position by pressing shift or modifier key, but don't remember which one. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I figured it would be something like that. Salary Cat, I found a bug in your description text. Maybe you'd want to remove the Google Plus link. I thought I had. I thought I'd expunged all the... Oh, wait a minute. Maybe not on my live stream spiel text. Are you talking about... Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, you're right. I changed the default text, my default video upload text, but I didn't do it for the live streams. So thank you very much for pointing that out. I will sort that out. Google Plus is dead. Okay, anyone else? I think I'm just looking at my notes. We've been over the UI, we talked about the bevel and caps, and we just had a bit of a natter about the new bits and bobs. Yeah, you have to sign into a Maxon account now. So I'm not sure whether I should do this on screen or not, but yeah, there we go. Okay. I'm not sure whether that's a good thing to do on screen or not, because I don't know if it actually gives out any information that I don't want out there. So, oh, fuck's sake. License and lease. No, it doesn't. It just says that I've got an additional Cinemaversity license and just tells my machine name and all that kind of stuff. So it's not too... But I'd rather it weren't out there. Yeah, so that's not a problem. But yeah, you've got to sign in now. So I gather what happens is if you open Cinema 4D and it says please sign into your Maxon account and you don't, well then you don't get access. It's as simple as that. That reminds me, something else to note. Okay, so right, I have got a few bugbears with this. Like I said, the UI thing is all just sort of a subjective choice, really, and they give you the option to change it. Not really a problem. And anyone that's going to moan about that is like, we'll do something about it then. But what does everyone think to the fact that the help is no longer offline? I'd love to hear what your opinion is about that, because as we all know, in previous versions of Cinema 4D, if I've got a problem or I don't know what something does, I can right click on it, say show help, and it opens up the help and it gives me a description of exactly what's in there, and it even gives me examples sometimes, and it's absolutely beautiful. Okay, now that still happens. That still happens in R20. But if you go to, say here, offset, and say show help, it opens it up in a browser window. Okay, now that's not the end of the world. You're still getting the same information, but what if you don't have internet access? And I know the argument is, well, everyone's connected now, there's no excuse. It's like, well, sometimes there is an excuse. You know, and I really appreciated the offline help. Plus, I just like the way it feels as well, to be honest, when you're in cinema, when you're still inside Cinema 4D and you open the help. You know, you've got the, I don't know, it just feels right. You can still dock it. It's got the same sort of design language as Cinema 4D and all the rest of it, whereas the browser version of that does not. It's bright. I'm not used to it. Maybe that's something to do with it. The online help in R21 is a downgrade for me. Yeah, I kind of agree. But the weird thing is, why not both? Because the online help for R20, you also had an online version of it and you had an offline version of it. So why not? My question is, why not give users the option? Because if it's online anyway, all you're doing is duplicating it as a, I don't know, a lib or a lib file for C4D or something like that. So why not just, unless obviously I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm not a developer and it's a lot more complicated than that and it's a pain in the arse for them. Who knows? But why not just have it as an optional download? Because you might be thinking, well, we're trying to cut down on the download size of Cinema 4D and blah de blah de blah and all the rest of it. Well, why not just include it in the online updater? You know, why don't you go to optionals and say, would you like to download the documentation? Instead of having it pop up in a browser window. Why not have it as a, you know, download documentation, and if you do download it, install it, then this reverts to opening it up offline. Or you could even choose in the preferences, do you want to open this online or offline? You could have that as a preference option, but then having it open inside Cinema 4D if you wanted it to. I prefer it myself, I've got to be honest. Yeah. I mean, that was one of the features that makes Cinema 4D stand out against the competition. The fact that you could right click on anything, say help, and it's there, and you get an answer for it inside the program. I mean, that wasn't just a novelty, that was a premium feature, I think. Other programs, you'll hover over an icon and an info bubble will pop up like this, like that, but there'll be a diatribe of text underneath it. And you're like this. That's annoying. Especially even more annoying when you hover over an icon. It's got a diatribe of text, you're trying to read it, and even though you haven't moved your mouse, it just disappears after 2 seconds. And it's like, ugh. You know, stuff like that. It's just so beautiful that in Cinema 4D, help is attached to everything. If you don't know what it does, or you can just get to it. You don't have to go searching the internet for half hour. You know. Slobbo says, if you could dock the online help, this is Davo. He says, if you could dock the online help in the layout, I'd be happy. Yeah, maybe that would be all right. I mean, why not just open it up in a C4D window, but actually still pull it from the web? So instead of it opening a separate browser window, like so, like this, why not open a C4D window, which in of itself is a self-contained browser? So you could still drag it from offline, just make it look like it's not, kind of thing. I don't know. I'm just shooting the shit. Slobbo says this is the beginning, man. Now that they got ex-Adobe guy in there with the new subscription, they'll slowly get lazier and lazier with update. Now that they'll get your money anyway, no matter what. Well, they won't, will they? Because if they're not going to develop, or they do, as you say, get lazier and lazier, well, then people will just stop buying it, won't they? They'll go elsewhere. So, you know. Davo says, say for example, following a tutorial on second screen, having the online help open new browser screen is super annoying. Yeah, exactly. And especially as, yeah, it is super annoying because think about this, okay? Show help for the cylinder, opens up in a browser window. I've got this here, okay, right? And I'm doing something on the other screen, okay? So I've got C4D, got the browser window, great. And then on my other screen, I click something on my other screen, okay? Let's think about what I'm clicking on. Actually, no. Say I need to click on Cinema 4D for whatever reason. Now that disappears in the background because it's not part of Cinema 4D. The browser disappears, which is super annoying. Whereas the old version of C4D, you open up the help. Not only could you dock it, so, you know, all the rest of it, but you could just literally lob it over there and then still work in Cinema 4D. It doesn't disappear into the background because it is Cinema 4D. So, yeah, another good point raised there. So what else? Sorry, I'm just reading the chat. So for example, yeah, okay. Slobbo, Adobe is Mohammed says at Slobbo, Adobe is giving pretty good updates. I don't know. A lot of people consider that Adobe have gone down the road of, their software's a bit sluggish now and a bit. But again, I don't want this stream to be just whinging and moaning. And I mean, there's, like I said, let's stick to C4D. There's lots in here that I do like. And there's some aspects of the subscription that I like. But whereas it's for some people, some of it may not be for others. So that's all I'm saying. And again, I really appreciate the fact that the guys at Maxon seem to be listening and keeping their ear to the ground, especially in consideration with C4D Cafe. They seem to be around, and the fact that a CEO of a company is actually interactive with Maxon's customers is almost unheard of. Do you know what I mean? So that is cool. Slubbo. At Basil, like what they did with After Effects, do they finally support multi-threading like other creative apps out there, now that this is already 2019? Slobbo also says After Effects is a complete joke now. I've got to admit, it's when you compare it to other compositing software, it's getting to be a bit of an old dog. And the RAM preview shit, I mean, come on, what year are we in? At least C4D is still trying to slowly change the core to hopefully one day be completely multi-threaded. Yeah. Now, this is what I was saying earlier about, so what? You didn't get a massive update this year. Good. Because that means they're working on making all the behind-the-scenes shit good. They're working on the core. They're trying to keep this thing as beautiful and quick as we've loved, as we've known it to be over the years. Not only are they trying to keep it up to date, but they want to keep it so it's zippy and, prepare it for whatever the future might, bring. So all that background stuff, it's important. It really is important. At least they're trying to slowly change the core to hopefully, completely. After Effects actually removed multi-threading. Yeah. Thank God for Blackmagic. Yeah. Do you think Blackmagic offers anything to replace After Effects in terms of making motion graphics? I've not actually used it. I might take a look at that, actually. You've reminded me. I'll add that to my list. I see no difference in speed of development since they went sub. Well, hopefully you're right. Exactly. We can sit here and speculate what's going to happen, say, a year from now, till the cows come home. But the thing is, we don't know. We could speculate all day long, and we just don't know. So I suppose it's futile in a lot of ways. But what we're not speculating about is what has been laid out in the subscription, and also what we're not speculating about in that regard is what has been said today about an upgrade path for perpetual license holders. So that's something we can talk about, and there's nothing wrong with speculating. We can speculate about what they're going to update in the next version. We can talk about what our hopes and dreams are, and that's okay. But who knows what the future holds? Maybe C4D is oriented to Blender with the dark UI and the new bright grey object color. Yeah, yeah, that might be the case. I'm definitely changing this gradient in the background of the viewport. It'd have been really nice if this is R20 and it just feels a bit airy and I like it. Okay, and I think it would have been nice to, at least in the preferences, maybe go to scheme colors and on this tab say use legacy scheme, something like that. That would have been nice, just so if you did like R20 you could have it back without having a faff around with all this stuff. That would have been just a nice little extra, I suppose. But yeah, like I said, I kind of prefer that. In fact, I'm actually getting used to the dark UI now in terms of this stuff around the edge. I think the more I look at it, the more I like it. It's just I'd rather have the objects dark and the background slightly brighter. Like, I mean, it's not particularly that bright anyway. Well, I suppose in comparison it is, but I don't know. It just feels more open and airy to me. And this feels a little bit more closed in, especially as this background color sort of, there's not much contrast between it and the UI. And I think that's what I like about this delineation of like, hello, I'm the UI and this is basically your world sky kind of thing. It's funny because when I first opened this, where was it? Preferences. I went, oh, okay, is this the new? I went, okay, this must be the dark mode. Okay, so I went here and I went, oh, okay, so this is dark. Maybe there's a medium. And I went, no, it's just dark and light. And then I changed it to the light. Jesus Christ on a bike. Do you know what I mean? Who the hell picks that? You might as well have had the difference between, I don't know. I mean, maybe some people do pick that, but you might as well have had dark, legacy dark, and light there. Do you know what I mean? Because or even just dark and not so dark. I can't even imagine who uses the. Imagine using that. Okay, Jesus. I think I'm blind. Okay, just going back to the chat quick. Oh, I'm having to scroll back up. You can do motion graphic in Fusion. It is absolutely doable, but that's not my thing. I just use it for compositing purposes and combined with Resolve. It's just been a blessing. Yeah, I mean, if I was going to look at any of that, so it'd be purely for compositing. I don't want to faff around too much with other stuff. From Rick Barrett. Slobbo, all my CPU cores is actually working and used to speed up my rendering, like how it's supposed to happen. I don't know what you're saying there, buddy, because that's still the case. And all my CPU cores is actually working in speed and used to speed up my rendering. Yeah. Like how it's supposed to happen. Well, it was in the last version as far as I'm aware, and I should imagine it does in this version as well. Unless you're talking about... Oh, you're talking about... Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. You're talking about Fusion. Right, okay. Salary Cat, it's doable but not comfortable. Efficient or intuitive. Again, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Cinema 4D or Fusion. I can't post C4D Cafe link, but from Rick Barrett regarding offline doc. Oh, right, okay. I've actually got C4D Cafe open on another page, so let's have a look. What you could do is actually post it on the Digital Meet Facebook page in a private message. PM me the link, and then I can take a look at it. Okay. When I got the trial of R21, this is what Igor's saying in the saying on C4D Cafe. Oh yeah, someone was moaning about the fact that they take information when you first load up R21. It says, we're going to take a load of, we're going to basically take data from you. And someone was complaining about that. But if you go into communication, you can still change that. You can allow bug reports, and you can show developer updates, and you can anonymize the application activity. You know, all of that stuff. So the option's still there. Someone saying maybe record live session and post link to YouTube for all those who missed live broadcasting for future. It will do that automatically, actually. As soon as the stream ends, it actually archives it as a video, and it's not unlisted either. It just goes straight up for people that missed it at the time of streaming. So that's already a thing. So I'm just going to close that. Sorry about that, chat. I was just looking at those. What else have we got? Yeah, that's what I was inferring. We're working towards a new CMS, and there's a few hurdles we have to overcome. I think people are talking about compositing now. Oh no, okay, I'm hoping, and in fact fairly sure we can find solutions. We just couldn't do it in the R21 timetable. Oh, okay, this is regarding the help. Okay. This is from Rick Barrett. Right, I see what you're saying. Right, I got you. You're posting it in the chat. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, that's what I was inferring. We are working towards a new CMS, and there's a few hurdles we have to overcome to provide the files offline. Okay, including how to actually split out the files and how to redirect to the proper help page from each parameter entry. I'm hoping, and in fact fairly sure, we can find solutions. We just couldn't do it in the R21 timetable. Yes, that's really good to hear. So, you know, they're working on getting the help offline. Great, that's really, really good. See, they are listening, and they're not just ignoring that either, which is fucking fantastic. It really is. Salary Cat says, I think it's just the trend making everything darker and darker UI. We're converging towards the good old 1-bit days that the colour palette was similar to a chalkboard. Wouldn't that be great if on every version the default just got darker and darker until it was just black with white trim everywhere, so you could tell where the buttons were. So instead of drop shadows, just like a white border around all the bottom. Yeah. I'm also, Slobbo says, I'm also not entirely sold with the new UI, but it's nice to know that I don't have to be afraid of 4K monitor anymore, because it will scale just fine now. I can always change the colours anyway. Exactly. It's not exactly something to whinge about, really, because, you know, they give you the option of changing it. So I'm not going to sit here and be a sort of naysayer going, meh, meh. It's not fair, you know. So, you know. What else have we got? Okay, let's have a look at my notes, because I'm sure there was something else that I wanted to have a look at. Oh yeah, the sign-in. That's what I wanted to mention about. This, when you initially start... Sorry, I've got gas a little bit. In fact, let's have some Pepsi Max, because that'll help. Yeah, when you initially boot up Cinema 4D, it'll ask you to sign in, and it will connect to online. Now, this had me a little bit worried, because I've got another copy of this on my Surface Pro, and I use my Surface Pro to go out on site with a copy of Cinema 4D. Vida Demotion says hi in the chat. Hello, buddy. So what I was worried about was, if I go on site with my copy of Cinema 4D with my Surface Pro, you can't always get an internet connection, even if you've set up your phone as a hotspot. What if your phone can't get the connection because you're in the middle of arse backwards nowhere and you're blocking out something and you're speaking to some guy that's in the middle of a field with no infrastructure, in the middle of nowhere, and he's talking about planning, I don't know, a housing estate or something, and that's why you're there, because you're doing architectural work or something like that, and you're getting a feel for the place, and you've taken some photos and whatnot. Well, I actually phoned Max on UK, and they actually gave me an answer on that, and you actually have 14 days. So say I open up Cinema 4D at home on my Surface Pro and I sign in there, great. The next time I open it, if it doesn't get an internet connection, it doesn't matter. It will still work for 14 days. It will require another internet connection in 14 days. So it doesn't just turn off, which I was really relieved about, because I thought, oh, if it's got to be connected to the internet of things constantly, I'll be upset. But and what if your internet goes down? Like if I open up Cinema 4D at home on my desktop and I want to use it, but my internet service provider are having a massive issue, and you know it goes down for a day, well then I can't surf the internet because the internet's down. So I'd probably spend the majority of my time in Cinema 4D, and if I couldn't do that, I'd be gutted. But luckily that isn't the case. So they thought about that, which is really good. Something just happened. Let me have a look. I believe I got a subscription from someone called CF, or Chinese symbol CF, and I've got a subscription from Jason Podmore. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, both of you. Yeah, so that's really good to know, that it doesn't just leave you high and dry if you haven't got an internet connection. It gives you like a 14-day grace period, which is cool. I've already mentioned the menus being reordered, and I think that was the end of my list pretty much. I'm sure there's plenty more to talk about, but I didn't have them. I basically started putting this list together yesterday, and I just wanted to get your guys' take on the subscription model and everything else. I'm quite happy to carry on streaming though. There's still 26 people in the stream, and people are still watching it, so that's cool. Natalie Mendelssohn. Oh wow, a live stream from Digital Meat. Really, your tutorials are the best. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Matter of opinion. I'm sure there's people out there doing tutorials that, well, you're entitled to your opinion. If you think I'm the best, thanks. Oh, I was going to say actually that there was something handy on Nick. I'm sure you're all familiar with Nick from Grayscale Gorilla. He had a useful little thing on his website, and I just thought if people hadn't seen this, maybe they should. If you go to his website, he's got a blog post called Your Guide to Choosing Your Subscription Model, and there's an image on his site actually, and if you open it up in a separate tab, it's nice and big, and his image is this, right? Now, I know you can't read that, but don't worry, you can zoom in. Okay, so this is like a flow chart of what you want to do. Because when I initially saw the subscription model, it was like, well, what do I do? What are the options? Well, it seemed like a bit of a jungle. So for some of you that are just sort of finding out about this, or you're not familiar with the subscription model, what the rules are, you haven't read the FAQ, this is actually quite a big help. Do you have the latest version of Cinema 4D R20? Yeah, I did. Okay. Is your MSA up to date? Yeah, because I just bought it in July. Okay, cool. Good news, you will automatically receive a perpetual license of R21. Yeah, and I did. Do you plan on upgrading in the future? Yes. Do you own Redshift? No. Do you plan on adding Redshift to your workflow? Yeah, I do actually. I'm going to see where that goes. Will you use it in other DCCs, Houdini, Mayo, etc.? Nah, probably not. The annual subscription, the annual C4D and Redshift subscription makes the most sense for you. So it basically just lets you get to what your choice should be. But like I say, even with all of that, I kind of don't want this. So I want a perpetual license. So, and it tells you perpetual one-time C4D license, 3,400. So you know, $3,500. And that's what I already paid for initially. And if you wanted a perpetual one-time license, you'd have to pay for that every year. But now, like I said, it looks like they're giving us an upgrade path. But yeah, I thought that was something to mention, that this actually keeps things, you know, it kind of whittles down your choices a little bit. Anyway, someone in the chat, Ali, is saying, hey, oh, no, I've missed something. What kind of animation stuff do you primarily do these days? What do you mean, for work or just for my own pleasure? Or it's a shame that I can't share more of my work than I do, because like I said, I worked for a company for the past 10 years, well, a good part of a decade anyway, and a lot of that work either fell under NDA or the Secrets Act, so I can't share any of it. I can't share any of what I was doing while I was at that company. And now I don't work there. I don't have access to any of it. So I can share it if I wanted to. But yeah, it all falls under that kind of stuff. And some of the work that, and even as a freelancer, some of the work that I've been doing, I can't share publicly unless the client has obviously given specific permissions for me to do so. Or what I can do is share stuff that they've made public. So for instance, there's a video that I did for some proton therapy work a little while ago. And if you go to the gallery and look at my videos, yeah, it was this. So let's just make this big. And it's basically a company that use, oh, let's up the quality as well. So it's a company that do proton therapy. And I worked with a guy that did the voiceover as well. Not this guy, the actual, this guy. So yeah, it was basically a video about proton therapy and blah, blah, blah. And as you'll see, this is their video that I've linked to. Because they put it out publicly, and then it was okay for me to share this. So there we go, this is my bit. I basically modelled their accelerator and just sort of did a little walkthrough. A little flyover and, you know, put the beam going through it and all of that malarkey and cut it up into sections. It's pretty simple, you know. But it was a little bit hard because at the time it didn't actually exist in real life. So it was like, you know, I don't think it exists now. I think they're still building it. I'm not sure, but yeah. But yeah, I've done plenty of bits and bobs, but some of which I haven't been able to share because it falls under NDA or whatever. So, but I am looking for work all the time. So if there are any jobs out there that you think would be good for me, or you're looking for an extra person to come on board, I'm your boy. Now that I'm a freelancer. So yeah, I kind of do a mixture of sort of trying to get Digital Meat up and running as a sort of learning platform and providing my services as a freelancer, you know, modeling, animating, you know, 3D generalist and motion graphic artist. So yeah, that should answer that question. Hey, you reckon you could do a tutorial on rendering actual sand dirt using RealFlow and Redshift? Well, when I get Redshift, yes. Well, actually, I've got Redshift. I'm toying with between Redshift, Octane, and Corona, and so I'm just evaluating my options at the moment. But I've got to say, Redshift looks beautiful, and the fact that Maxon owns it, it kind of makes me want to lean in that direction. Okay. You can't share anything. Then what can you put in your reel? Just personal stuff. Well, like I said, there's some things that I can share, but some things that I can't. Like, for instance, when I was working for the company that I was working for, a company which will remain nameless, all of it fell under NDA or the Secret Act. Now, the reason for that is because some of the work and the models that we were making were for the MOD. So, of course, we don't want any schematics or those models for public consumption. So, what are you going to do? And I certainly don't want to be taken to a military tribunal. So, of course, you know. Don't worry about it. Everyone has stuff they cannot share with the outside world. What matters is when you do explain stuff, you explain it very clearly. Thank you. Well, I'll try my best. And that's kind of why I started doing tutorials, actually, because sometimes I'd be watching a tutorial and they'd just sort of, they'd go through and they'd be good, but they would assume knowledge that maybe not everyone had. And I just thought, maybe I should give this a go. And that's why I started. You can't share anything. Then what can you put in your reel? Just personal stuff. And I mean more like, what kind of animation do you do? Product shots, medical stuff, abstract stuff. All of it. Anything. I mean, like I said, I love Cinema 4D and I'm always dipping into something. And even when I'm not working, you know, I'll just be outside listening to music or whatever, you know, walking down the street, and something will come into my mind and I'll go, oh, yeah, that'd be cool. And I start playing around. I mean, I've got to be honest, a lot these days are kind of like half-finished projects because there's not enough hours in the day between freelance work and Digital Meat and making tutorials and all the rest of it. Yeah, it soaks up so much so much of my time. That looks so cool. Mobile architect stuff. Yeah, I do that. Maybe. Yeah, Corona is something. You have to make tutorials about it. It's such a great render engine. Yeah, I'll look into it. I mean, I haven't been down the rabbit hole too far with Corona, but the results look beautiful. And that's exactly why you are better at your tutorials than others. Other people assume the viewers already know it all already, while in reality it's not the case. Well, yeah, it's finding that happy balance of treating the viewer with respect, so you're not sort of going, hello, dumbass, you know, and between sort of the level of knowledge they've got, kind of thing. Although if I've been over certain parts several times in tutorials, I will just assume it at some point. Maybe that's not a good thing, but Annie says it seems that X particles seems to be the way to go when it comes to dust, debris, dirt kind of particles, but RealFlow has the fluids down quite well. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I agree. The fluids, RealFlow is my boy, and I'm actually in contact with a very nice man at Nextlimit actually, and he's great. What do you guys think? Shall I keep going? I've been doing 2 hours now. Shall I keep going, or should we call it quits there? What do you guys think? In fact, I'm going to leave it in your hands just for 2 minutes. I'm going to put you on the Be Right Back screen because I'm dying for a pee. And when I come back, you can let me know whether you think I should carry on or not. Okay, so I'll be back in a sec. If I can find the Streamlabs. There we go. So, Alright, I'm back. Oh shit, turned the ambient sound on. No. I feel like I've been shouting for ages, and it's because my headphones have got active noise cancelling, so I don't know how loud I'm talking. So Oh, hello again. Hello. Let's have a look at the chat. I need to scroll back up. Let's have a look. Should we make him suffer more or let him quit? I'd say another 15 to 20 more minutes at most. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go too much longer, so maybe just a few questions and say our goodbyes and all the rest of it. Really cool Be Right Back logo, by the way. Thank you very much. Sounds good. Salary cat. Sliver says, well, it seems like you covered quite a lot already. Not sure if you need to go longer than 2 hours. Maybe save the energy for the next stream. Good point. Okay, we have decided he will spend 20 more minutes with us. How have we? 20 more minutes sounds good. Okay, I'm down. Let's think of some good questions before he comes back. Oh, hello again. Sound is great. Okay, cool. Well, if you do have any questions, fire away. Like I said, yeah, I think 10 more minutes or something like that, and then we'll call it quits there. Otherwise, we'll be sort of running on fumes, and it won't be a very good end to a pretty decent stream, I think, so far. It's a shame as well, because I haven't done a stream for a while. It took me a while to get going this stream. There was a lot of umming and ahhing at the beginning, and it'd be good if I was kind of in the mode I'm in now from the beginning. So what I might do next time is actually stream to myself or just sit here pretending to stream for an hour and then actually start streaming. Who knows? But yeah, like I said, there seems to be a lot of opinions in forums, not just at C4D Cafe either, all over the place. Some people think this is a good thing. Some people think it's not. Some people are indifferent. And like me, I'm just a lurker. I was kind of lurking a little bit. Because I didn't really know what to think. But I knew how it'd affect me. But in terms of Maxon's business model, they're obviously, you know, they're a business. They're going to try and make money. That's what they should be doing as a business. But, you know, whether what they're doing is good overall, I mean, you know, it's their business. They can do what they like with it. But there are consequences for the options, you know. But like I said, they're listening. The fact that they're going, okay, an upgrade path for perpetual users, that's fantastic. That really is. Do you think the RealFlow engine is too intensive? I mean, I worked with RealFlow. and I was wondering if there wouldn't be a less intense way to calculate the flow of particles. Well, I've got to be honest, I think it's pretty zippy, to be honest. I mean, I remember back in the day where, you know, it was a bit... I mean, I haven't used the standalone for years now, and I remember that being a bit sluggish and all the rest of it. Then again, my hardware wasn't particularly good. But, you know, RealFlow now... let's get something going on here. Plane. Let's make this editable. Let's select the outer rim to make some kind of weird pool, you know, and we can give that a simulation RealFlow tag even. Collider. That should do the job, I think, but you know, oh, we're going to need some gravity as well, aren't we? Gravity daemon, just to make sure. And then let's give this a bit more time on the old timeline. I mean, that's running in real time. So, and I know there's not that many particles on screen at the moment, but I can proper crank that up. The resolution's 2. Let's change it to 20. I mean, and that's running on the CPU as well, so that's not even that quick. So if I actually go to the scene and solver, is it? Use GPU. There we go. Yeah, that's the one. Now I'm actually streaming via the GPU, so I don't know whether that's going to have an effect or not, but I'd say that's pretty quick. I mean, there's a lot of particles there. And there's only gonna, you know, it's still going pretty strong. I think it's not too bad. It's all right. Have you ever got a good use of Turbulence FD when rendering SmokeFire in Octane or any other GPU renderer without getting blocky, blobby, non-detailed smoke, unlike what you get in physical? I've got to be honest, I'm only just starting to experiment with GPU renderers, and that's because of a mixture of funds, and I didn't have a particularly good GPU as well. I mean, I've got a 1080 Ti at the moment, and the only reason I've got that is because my brother very kindly gave me his, because he went and bought a 2080 Ti. They're expensive as well, man, and there's no way I'll be able to afford one of them. And he said to me, well, tell you what, if you give me your 970, I'll put that in one of my other machines and I'll give you my 1080 Ti. And I said, deal. So that's the only reason that I've only started looking at GPU renderers, because there was no point before. I didn't have the hardware for it. So I haven't really had a chance to experiment with that so far. But that's something that I will do. In fact, I've been thinking about that for a while, actually. Like getting into the guts of Turbulence FD and doing a tutorial series about Turbulence FD in general. First of all, sort of do the basic sort of functioning of the program, like I've been doing with RealFlow. You know, I've been covering all the daemons, you know, the collider tags and its general operation, how to do wet maps, blah, 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 all of that stuff. And then as those things have been filled in for the user, turn it to a more project-based tutorials. So you get all the groundwork done first, so everyone's on the same page, and then you start looking into how you can do sort of a bit more involved things, or maybe setting up a animation and a scene and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I'm hoping to go with the RealFlow stuff, and maybe that's something to aim for with Turbulence FD. But unfortunately, like I said before, I need to find a way to get Digital Meat to pay for itself, like the website hosting and general running of it and all the rest of it. It's a cost. So I'm trying to find a way to basically monetize what I'm doing, at least to some degree. I've set up a donation page on the website. That doesn't see a lot of traffic, nor does Patreon. The Prime membership, out of all of those things, seems to be doing the best. So it might even be the case where what I do is I still give away for free the tutorials on YouTube about the RealFlow and Turbulence maybe in the future, but you know, all the RealFlow stuff, you know, teaching the user how to use it, what everything does, how to do stuff, you know, colliders, wet maps, blah blah blah, and all the rest of it, and then maybe put all the project-based stuff to do with RealFlow inside the Prime membership. And I know what you're thinking, not another thing to pay for, but I've got to find some way to do it. Anyway, less of my whinging. Let's have a look at the let's have a look at this. For me, it's the granular solver. Just kills my PC. Oh, well, it shouldn't do. Mine runs just as good as the normal stuff. It's fine. In fact, I can play it in real time in the viewport. So it's not an issue for me, that. Unless something's changed in the last version of RealFlow. That's something. I've actually shot a email to NextLimit today, actually, asking about R21 support and whether it will require a new version or whatever. Slobbo, are you a 1-2-3 guy or alt mouse click guy? So I see what you're saying. Let's get back. I think maybe, I don't know, a bit of both. Bit of both. Yeah, I think maybe a bit of. I think I'm an alt guy. I think I'm an alt guy because it's kind of like it does everything. So yeah, it does that, it does this, and it does that. It's it's fine. It's fine. So yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, yeah. It does feel nice with number 2. I've got to be honest. But yeah, I'm definitely an alt guy. I think. Although one thing that I will say that's really useful, I'm definitely a number 9 guy. Yeah. So if you don't know this already, if you're on a tool, say like I don't know, let's get into polygon mode and then choose another tool like a stitch and sew, and I need to choose something. If you hold number 9 down, it temporarily lets you select, and then when you let go of number 9, it goes back to the tool that you were on. So I'm definitely a number 9 guy. I love that. RealFlow has the best mesher of all time. Nothing can even come close to it, not even X-Particle. On that, and for fluids, I'd have to agree. Definitely, the mesher is beautiful. And it got better in the last version as well. Yeah, I agree. Oh, God, I'm going to have to catch up with the chat. Okay, sorry, I think I should have elaborated. My problem really started when using Alembic files. When you try to connect an Alembic file together with a RealFlow collider and use particle, hell opens. What are you using Alembic files for? Wait a minute. Is this what you're saying? Are you using RealFlow standalone and trying to get that simulation into C4D as an Alembic file sequence? Is that what you're saying? It also has to calculate every single move and collision and then comes to a very slow and even grinding halt. Okay. I've got to be honest, I've had no problems with the RealFlow engine, but then again, I just play everything in the window. The only thing that obviously, well, there's a few things that RealFlow for Cinema 4D is missing, because it's not the fully fledged RealFlow, is it? And that's Hybrido. So making large scale, like oceanic simulations or something like that, it's kind of missing that kind of stuff. But you know, if you want to do a product shot with splashes, you know, like a shampoo or something, it's perfect for that kind of thing. Okay. Slubbo, as soon as you add Collider, RF will pretty much... As soon as you add Collider, RealFlow will pretty much... Depends on your CPU to calculate it. Even if you have the best GPU, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you're kind of right there, because your CPU is going to be your bottleneck. Because what people tend to forget is, if you've got a shoddy CPU and you've got a 2080 Ti, an NVIDIA card all singing and dancing, well, it doesn't matter, because that data that the GPU is, you know, is doing its job really, really quickly, it still has to send that data back through the CPU. So that's going to be your bottleneck. So they work in tandem. So that might be what your problem is, Natalie. It might be that your GPU is not good enough, or your CPU is not good enough, or both. In my case, I'm rocking a... What am I rocking? I'm rocking a... What am I looking for? Task Manager. Yeah, okay. I am rocking a Threadripper 1950X. So, that's what my logical processors look like. There's 32 of them, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, because it's 16 core, so that's 32. So, CPU is definitely good enough, and with the 1080 Ti in there, it's fine for me to calculate on the GPU, because that information gets sent to my beast of a... I mean, it's a bit obsolete now. It's a couple of years old, but I'll probably hang on to it because it still does the job I need it to do, so that's fine. And it's also good for the CPU rendering as well, because of the, you know, more cores the better in it, really. Okay. Victor. I don't want to even attempt to pronounce your second name. Shobota? Victor Shobota? Christ knows. If I'm murdering that, forgive me. I've tried to make a thin liquid with RF Crown Demons, but I couldn't. I wasn't pleased. It's just the resolution. The thinning options in Mesher just make it flickering. Yeah, you got to be careful of that. You can't go too overboard. But I tend to experience that the better the resolution, the better the mesh, and the better the fluid, and the more detailed the fluid. So yeah. So you're right, increase that, but you can thin it out, but be sparing with it. If you go overboard, you are going to get problems because it's artificially thinning it out, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like a post effect almost. Natalie says, if you want to become rich, I can recommend a great book called The Millionaire Fast Lane. Okay, cool. I'll take a look. Thank you. I don't particularly want to become rich. I want to. I don't actually. I don't particularly want to become a millionaire. I don't particularly want to become rich. I just want to be able to live comfortably. And at the moment, I can tell you, I am scraping past the finish line every month. So yeah, my dream is to live a My dream is to be able to pay my rent. That's my dream, and not worry about it. Okay, moving on. Again, this isn't a tale of woe or anything. Natalie says it's not a joke book or get rich fast scam. It's the real thing. Okay, I'll take a look. Thank you very much. Thank God he's an alt guy. Oh, instead of a 123 guy. Would have had to unsub. Well, you'd know that actually, because most of my tutorials all talk about alt. I used to be a 123 guy for years, but then I keep getting in trouble with Octane, always registering those 123 input at the wrong time for no reason. It forced me to change to alt mouse click guy. Yeah, okay, cool. No, I'm not talking necessarily about converting from C4D to RealFlow. Oh, CD4. Okay, yeah, I get what you mean. Does Cinema 4D have disadvantages in modelling compared to Max? I don't think so. Not anymore. It used to bother me that you couldn't copy by, and even more so in R21. It's just been pointed out to me that you can make copies of this stuff like this or whatever. But yeah, objects, you'd used to have to drag them out like that to get a copy, which was really counterintuitive because you wanted to just be able to press control and then drag a copy out, which you can do now and you have been able to do for a while. But back in the day, you could do that. So it was simple things like that were a bit of a bugbear. But I actually prefer modelling in Cinema 4D than I do in Max. I find it more intuitive. And and the poly pen tool, beautiful for organic shapes and stuff like that. And plus you've got sculpting built in as well. It's not quite as good as ZBrush, but it's definitely gonna. It's nice that it's just all contained within the same thing, and you don't have to bounce back and forth. So yeah, I love C4D for modelling. I'm a real. I know I'm an evangelist for C4D by nature. I mean, I run a C4D channel, but like I said, I worked with 3ds Max for years, and you are right, its modelling tools are good and they are intuitive, but I get on with C4D just as well as I do Max now. And if you're jumping over from Max, I can imagine there's a little bit of a sort of learning curve because it's a little bit different, but once you get the hang of it, it's great. It's absolutely great. It's basically Miku Miku dance alembic file, dancing in the water. It was unfortunately too complex for me to achieve, but some Chinese person managed. A Miku Miku dance. I'm guessing that's some weeb shit that I've never heard of. Is that one of those little anime avatars? I'm guessing. It's some weeb shit in it. yeah. But so it's one of them dancing in the water. So basically you've got an alembic file, which is just an animation, and that's dancing, and you're basically, well, actually it depends on how complicated the mesh is as well. If it's a really heavy mesh and you're putting a collision tag on that, now I'm not sure how RealFlow generates its mesh for the collision, is it based on polygon or is it just based on general shape? That's a good question for me to ask. So I will look into that for you, because yeah, okay, cool. Victor Shobota, again, I'm probably murdering that, says, you said my name correctly. Oh, great. I can't even remember if I said it right just now as I did the same as I said it the first time. Victor Shobota. Okay. Natalie says, I think the website I wanted to show got blocked. Sorry. Oh, yeah. I think YouTube automatically blocks you from putting links in the chat, which is a bit of a pain. If you're trying to put links in the chat, it'll block it automatically. I heard third-party renderer developers can now incorporate Cinema 4D node materials using the new API. Does that mean Octane have all Cinema 4D nodes available natively without the need of baking? I'm not sure because, again, like I said, I'm just getting into the GPU rendering side of things, so there is that. And yeah, so I'm not sure, but yeah, if I remember rightly, that the new material nodes have been upgraded and all the rest of it, I think you might be right there, because I know that they're going to be integrating the Cinema 4D nodes in with Redshift and all that kind of stuff. So maybe there's an API that makes it available for developers. So that would be fantastic as well. Yeah, that'd be great. In fact, I need to do a load of material about the node-based stuff. So because I'm actually ashamed to say that I still, because I'm so familiar with it, I still use the method of, oh, I'll add let's remove that. Add a Beckman. Oh, I'll add a texture in the roughness, and if I've got to nest something in there, I'll create a layer, and in there I'll put an image, whatever, or a shader, a gradient. Whereas that in a node-based setup, that'd be flowing, and you can see sort of bigger picture stuff. But I'm still quite comfortable with this kind of method, and I know it's archaic, and I know people sort of go, but I'm comfortable with it, and it's fine for me. But yeah, so I've really got to step up my game in that respect. So expect to see a load of node-based material tutorials coming your way soon. I heard, yeah, so I covered that. Yeah, exactly, says Natalie. Ali, I'm an avid UE4 user, but only with the 3ds Max UE4 workflow. Yes, actually, you described exactly why I abandoned UE4. Do you remember when it first came out and it was free? I got my knickers into twist and got all excited, and I was like, yay, because Unity announced something the same day, I think, as UE4. And they were both free, and they were both something else, and it was all new, and I grabbed both of them. And obviously UE4 was going to have some teething problems, and it did, and I hung on for a good year, but whereas it was working at one point fine, I was able to say export this cylinder out, and it would actually look like this in UE4 with the FONG information and all that kind of stuff. And then one day they updated to 4.15, and they broke everything. So you'd export your model as an FBX from Cinema 4D, you'd get it in UE4, and it couldn't recognize the FONG tag, or couldn't translate it at least into the FBX. Well, it could translate it into the FBX, because if you opened the FBX with any other program, it would display correctly. But with UE4, it completely disregarded the smoothing groups / FONG information. So in UE4, it looked like this. It will look exactly like that. So, you know, I raised it in their support forums for months and months and months, and they were saying that it wasn't their fault. It was on Cinema 4D's end, and I was saying no, it's not, because it was working in this version of Cinema 4D a few months ago, and they were telling me I was wrong. So in the end, I just abandoned it. I couldn't even get models into UE4 correctly without them looking, yeah, you know. So, but I might return because there's lots of exciting stuff is happening, especially with the fact that you can now export MoGraph animation to UE4. That piqued my interest big time. So I'm going to take a look at that again soon and grab UE4. Have you had experience with C4D to UE4? Okay, well, we're just talking about that. Sorry for this bypass way. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's have a look. I'm trying to look in both chats because sometimes the Streamlabs chat lets stuff slip through, whereas YouTube blocks it. So I'm just trying to. I think the website I wanted to show got blocked. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Sorry for this bypass way. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. One can call it weeb shit, but I dare anyone the skill to achieve this feat. When I say weeb shit, I don't mean that in a derogatory sort of sense. It's because the whole weeb things, there's loads of memes about it and there's this whole culture around it. I don't, you know, it's just what people are into, isn't it? Some people are, some people aren't. So when I say weeb shit, I don't mean that, you know, I mean it in a funny, joking, jovial way. Yeah. Damn, really? Ali says, damn, really? I've never had phone issues, but then again, I've only used it with Macs. Yeah, exactly. It worked seamlessly with Autodesk products, and I think they had maybe some kind of deal going on, or at least there seemed to be some kind of development relationship there, and everything worked great. So hopefully now that is the case with Maxon and Epic, is it? Yeah. Ali also says, I'm like how you are with C4D, but with UE4. Oh, okay, cool. So he's an expert on the subject. Cool. Do you make tutorials and stuff like that on your own channel? Because that'd be cool. Nabil, I'm going to murder this name now. I'm really, really not pronounce this correctly. But I think it's Nabil El Hajjuti. Jutai? I don't know. I'm probably saying that completely wrong. You helped me so much with RealFlow. Thank you for doing those extensive video tutorials. Wish you'd upload more. I'd love to upload more, but like I said, Digital Meat doesn't really produce revenue, so I'm having to work as a freelancer on the side, and that soaks up the majority of my time now. Well, when the work's there, like I said, I'm scraping through at the moment, and I'm kind of trying to juggle both and being not very good at either. So what I'd really like to do is, you know, if Digital Meat was a bit more successful than it was, I'd like to produce more videos and spend more time on that and all the rest of it, and then you know. But anyway, let's get on with this. Up Digital Meat, I meant you to copy paste the Chinese stuff I posted in YouTube so you can see for yourself, because I can't do links. I'll just paste it again. Okay. Do you know what's even better, Natalie? Go to the Digital Meat Facebook page and send me a message there. Send me a link there, because then you can send links in a Facebook message, no problem. And then I can have a look at the link you're talking about directly and get an idea of what you're talking about. Dyson Masbury is also looking for a person who knows C4D, I think you mean. Who's Dyson? I don't know who Dyson is. Someone's saying it looks great. Is it real flow? Okay, let me find it. Oh, okay, right. So I'm wondering if I've got the right thing here. I'm not sure, actually, because there doesn't appear to be any water in it. So, yeah, send me a direct link on my Facebook page. It's just a girl dancing in the water. Yeah, I found... let me copy it into Google. Oh, I missed one of the characters off the end. My bad. So, what I'll do is I'll copy that. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's translating well. Let me sort this out over here. Ah, here we go. Found it now. Okay, let's have a look then. It is weeb shit quality. Okay, so she's having a dance. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's all right, isn't it? So what's the issue? Is it... So you're basically saying it takes donkey's years to calculate? Yeah, it may be just a hardware problem. Yeah, it may be a hardware problem. But if you want to get hold of me on Facebook, you can. We can see what the problem is. We can. Yeah, if you want to get hold of me on Facebook, we can try and have a look at what your hardware is and all the rest of it. But I can't do a one-on-one during this stream, so you know, problem solving. Because there's lots of other people here as well. Just have a look. Oh well, made by Dave Mars. Yeah, that's the one exactly. Yeah. Okay. Like I said, if I'm not sure you can actually get hold of it. Are you in China? Do you even have access to Facebook? Can you actually get hold of me on Facebook? Do you have a VPN? Nabil El Hajouti says, you completely butchered my name, but that gave me a good chuckle. It's mind-boggling to me how your channel has only 17k subs. I completely understand you have to put your energy where revenue is. Well, it's not that I want to do that. It's not that I'm chasing the almighty dollar either. Because like I said, I don't want to be a rich man. I just want to be able to get by. But even that seems to be a bit difficult at the moment. So, you know, I'm not asking for the moon on a stick. You know, but thank you. I really appreciate that. It's really nice. I just wanted to thank you since this is the first time I see you going live. Thanks. And he says, so thank you. Thank you very much, buddy. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so Natalie, if you are in China, as I'm assuming you are, oh, I'm here in Holland, so not far from you. I'm running an i9 Intel Extreme processor here, so I doubt it's my PC that's doing something wrong. I think it was more a settings issue, possibly. Like I said, go to my Facebook page, and I'll tell you exactly where that is. In fact, if you go to my website, at the bottom of every page, you can click on the links to my social media, and you can go to my Facebook page and you can send me an email or you can send me a message. And don't forget to like the page as well. So yeah, you can send me a message from there and then we can have a chat and work through your problem. All right, cool. I agree. I'm also very thankful for you showing up. It's very nice to talk to you. Thank you. I really appreciate that, guys. It's really nice. Now, I can't believe this. I've been streaming for 2 hours. Let's get an exact number on this. I've been streaming for 2 hours, 47 minutes. So I'm 10 minutes off 3 hours. I might as well round up to 3 hours now. I'll do another 10 minutes and then I'll sign off. But I can't believe there's 20 people still watching. There's 20 people still watching this, and I've done nearly 3 hours. So that's really good. Natalie says, I already like your tutorials and what you do a lot. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And she says, all right, I'll go over there. Yeah. Get hold of me on Facebook and then we can have a nice little conversation about what your issues are. And that way you can even send me screenshots, and instead of having to write out all your settings and all that kind of stuff, you can just take some screenshots and send them to me. Drew Nix says, your content is really helpful to me. Been watching your tutorials for a few years now. How many social sites do you upload content to? Well, I kind of mirror what I'm doing. So when I put up obviously there's the website. So I dump all my tutorials there. So like the ones that go up on YouTube go up here. But on my site, you get the added advantage of being able to filter the tutorials by categories. So if you want to know the RealFlow stuff, you can just press the RealFlow button, and you've got all the RealFlow stuff, and it's done by date. It's done by date. So this will be the newest tutorial. This will be the one before that. So the very first tutorial will be this one. So you can go right back to the beginning and just work your way through like this in order, and you know what you're getting in that case. And you also get the added advantage here as well, unlike YouTube, where I basically put all the NAB tutorials. So all the NAB talks that happened, I mirror them here. All the talks from the NAB shows, and the same thing with the SIGGRAPH stuff as well. So there's all the SIGGRAPH stuff. Yeah, and you can vote for the next tutorial. So yeah, I post obviously to my website. Obviously you get the, I'll stop saying obviously, you get the Prime membership as well if you're interested in that. And you can sign up for a free account here as well. So you can log in, and if you haven't got a login, you can register. And you can also sign up for the subscribe to the newsletter, which I suggest you do, because basically every time I put a new tutorial up, I send out emails to my subscribed users first. I actually upload it to YouTube as an unlisted video, so anyone subscribed to my newsletter gets access to those videos a couple of hours before. And also it's really handy for my Prime members as well, because I can target them. When new content goes up in the Prime area, they get informed of that through the subscription newsletter. So yeah, it's worth doing. But yeah, I post to, what other social sites do I post to? Well, I've got a I'll be able to talk in a minute. I've got a blog on C4D Cafe as well. So I mirror most of my content here. So there we go. And where else do I go? Yeah, so Twitter. I've got a Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and a LinkedIn as well. I've got a company page on LinkedIn, so you can go there. If you're on LinkedIn, you can check out my company page. And I mirror stuff there and post updates and whatnot. So yeah. So look much better in video. Okay. Are you talking about me? Oh yeah, are you talking about that picture? Yeah, I've got to change that. It's terrible. Actually, it's not very good. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. I also look much better sitting down because you can't see the rest of me. So Victor says, I tried to subscribe to your newsletter. I got this subscription error. An error occurred. Please try again later. Oh, really? Okay, well, you need to fill out your first. Okay, let's test this out. I'll test it out my end. Okay, so I'll put a fake name like Jeff Smith, and I'll do a made-up email address, and wonder if maybe that's the problem. Where are you located, by the way, Victor? Out of interest. It happened a minute ago. Okay, so I'm going to call myself Jeff Smith, and I'm going to say my email address is jeff.smith@hotmail. I bet that's someone's email address. .com. But let's give it a go. Subscribe. Subscription error. An error occurred. Please try again later. Okay, well, thanks for bringing that to my attention, buddy. I was not aware that was happening. Subscription error. An error occurred. Please try again later. I really appreciate that, Victor, because I was not aware of that. And you're in Hungary. Okay. Well, I just did it here, and it happened to me as well. So there's obviously a problem with that. And I've got a horrible feeling it's to do with caching, maybe. Oh, I know exactly what it is. I know what the problem is. I'm an idiot. That's what the problem is. I'm an idiot. I changed the mail key basically recently, and I didn't update it in that module. So that's what the problem is. So that's why that's happening. Yeah, like I said, it's my fault. I updated the key in my MailChimp settings. I forgot what they call it now. It's like an access key. And I didn't update it in my website's module. So thank you for that, guys. You really helped me out there. I wondered why no one had been subscribing for the last 10 days. Ugh. Okay, so it's me. It's my fault. I'm really sorry about that. But when I come off a stream, Natalie says, all right, I replied to your Facebook, but I need more time to upload a video that will show the Alembic horror that I'm going through. Yeah, that's fine. It's all right. I won't be looking at it anytime soon anyway, because I'm streaming right now. And when I get off this stream, I'm going to bed because it is, Jesus Christ, it's 10 to 2 in the morning here. So I'm going to get off. I've got 5 minutes left. I said I'd try and make it a 3 hours straight, and then I'll get off. Thank you guys for informing me about the subscription problem. I'm going to fix that quickly when I come off the end of this stream. And so if you wait, 10 or 15 minutes, you should be able to subscribe after I've sorted the problem out. Natalie says it's 3 a.m. here, but then again, I'm off tomorrow. Oh, you're a day sleeper. I see. Manuel Steiner says hello, and Manuel, hello, but I'm about to say goodbye, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Time to prepare for sleep. Yeah, okay. Drew Nix, I would like to see some Espresso tutorials by you if you are interested. I've actually done some Espresso tutorials, and you can find them all in the Prime membership area on my website. I've sort of tried to make, I want to keep my content as free as possible, but obviously I need to generate some income. And so I've made the more in-depth stuff part of the Prime membership. So there's plenty of Espresso stuff in there, mate. Slobbo, thanks for doing the stream, man. Enjoyed listening to your nice, smooth English accent. Oh, that's really sweet. I don't think I don't think it's nice at all. I'm a little bit common, to be honest. I'm like, all right. So, thanks for that, Slavo. Much appreciated. Yeah, so I think I'm going to call it a day now. Natalie, I'll check out your Facebook messages tomorrow. Drew, I think I spoke to you yesterday. Was it you, Drew? You were saying that you liked the song that I used in my project sound tutorial I just did. I think it's you. Let me just check. Let me just check very quickly. I'm sure it is you, Drew Nix. But I just want to make sure that I'm not imagining. Come on, load. Here we go. Yeah, it was you. We were talking about the Billie Eilish song. Yes, he says in the chat. Thanks for the stream. Been listening to the Billie Eilish song all day. Is it Eilish or Eilish? I don't know. Natalie Mandelson, you streaming tomorrow as well? I don't think I'm streaming tomorrow. I think I'll give you guys a bit more fair warning, actually, because Igor from C4D Cafe actually said to me on the forum, he said, if you give me fair enough warning that you're going to stream, I can put it on the homepage of C4D Cafe. I thought, oh, well, that's really nice of him. It was really nice. So he said, as long as you give me a bit of warning, by a couple of days, we can get it up there as well. So I thought that was good of him. So yeah, the next time I do a digital meet stream, you'll know about it. I always I make sure I tick the box that says give my users a 12-hour, notification 12 hours before it goes live or whatever. But no, I won't be streaming tomorrow. Speaking of streaming, I've got a second channel called Beef Doctor, and I just thought I mean, it's kind of like a dumping ground, really. It's not really a serious channel. So let me just go find it. I've got a channel called Beef Doctor, and I've got a subscription, I think, or something going on. Let's have a look. New subscriber. Spacefar 3R has subscribed. Jesus, it is getting late. I can barely talk now. So, Beef Doctor channel. Okay, so yeah, this is my Beef Doctor channel, and it's basically a dumping ground for stuff. So it's not serious. So sometimes I live stream on here and I play games. I like the Zelda games and a load of other stuff. Breath of the Wild, that was beautiful. So yeah, so far it's only been games, but I think I'm going to do some more stuff here. Just maybe live streams that aren't game streams. Maybe just the inane ramblings of a 3D artist. Who knows? But yeah, I've got are you sure like meat? Yeah, I'm trying to revolve it around a theme. You completed Breath of the Wild. Yes, I did. And I did it over, I think it was like 38 streams or something like that. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I couldn't put it down. It was beautiful. Yeah. Sorry, where was it that you will put that notification? If you're talking about live streams, you should see it in your feed. So let me explain a bit more clearly. Let me open back up. Let me open back up YouTube. Sorry, I'm just doing it in an incognito window so I can make sure that I'm not showing information that I don't want anyone to see. Yeah, digital meat. Here we go. Yeah, okay, so this is a pure example. When I'm doing a live stream, when I set it up when I schedule it, it will appear at the top of my channel here, and it will give you loads of warning as well. If you subscribe, you got to be signed in to subscribe, obviously. If you subscribe and press the bell notification, it means that in your notifications at the top, it will give you loads of warning that a live stream is coming a few hours before it actually starts. So make sure you're subscribed and the bell notification is hit. And yeah, it will come up in your notifications on YouTube, and it will also be showing at the top of my page as well. It will say there's a live stream coming up, and it will tell you the time and whatnot. Okay, so I'm just going to read the rest of the chats very, very quickly, and then I'm going. I've been streaming 3 hours now, so I'm going to go. Victor says, I'm playing with Oxygen not included right now while my machine rendering. I'm not familiar with that. I'll look it up. I'm guessing it's a game of some kind. I've got to say, I've only come back to games recently because when I got into 3D, I kind of just dropped games, and every spare minute was spent on 3D. But it got to the point where all I was doing was 3D, whether that be working or digital meat, and I wasn't having any downtime at all. And I found that it was really bad for my health. And I suffer from MS anyway, which is multiple sclerosis, and it wasn't good for me to get run down and everything because it would trigger my MS off. So I'd get fuzzy hands and, you know, my legs would turn off or whatever. So it wasn't healthy. So I thought, you know what I used to enjoy doing? I used to like games, and it kind of fell by the wayside. So why don't I just take a load off now and again and play some games? And then I thought, well, why don't I do that? Why don't I just if I'm playing games anyway, why don't I live stream? Because then it's an opportunity to not only relax, but talk to people and not really have to worry about my language too much, like I do with sort of my tutorial videos. I don't have to be on my best behavior. So it's just a nice opportunity to relax, and it'd be really easy going. So that's cool. I'd completed Zelda 1, 2, 3, Game Boy, Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild. So yes, I do like Zelda. Yeah, I do as well. I mean, I had a Game Boy when I was when I was younger, and I'm talking the old ones. I'm talking about the dot matrix screens. I was born in 1979. Jesus. So yeah, I remember playing the old ones. You know. Breath of the Wild is something else, man. Played it on PC at 1440. It's one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. That's the way I played it as well. I got an emulator for my PC, and I played it in 4K at 60 frames a second. You can't do that on a Wii U, can you? So, yeah. I definitely need to go to YouTube now and subscribe. I'm going in now. I wish you a great night of sleep, Digital Meat. Let us not destroy your health anymore. Okay, cool. Natalie says good night. Thank you very much, Natalie. I'll speak to you at some point tomorrow over Facebook. The next Breath of the Wild is also coming out. Don't know exactly when, but it looked great. Yeah, it looks, yeah. I can't wait for that as well. Okay, I'm calling it a day there, guys, I think. So, wait a minute, I'm just trying to figure out what my buttons are. So, yeah, it's been great chatting to you. I hope that was of some use. I mean, talking about the subscription model and everything, I can see why some people are pissed. I can see why some people don't care. And I can see why some people like myself were kind of just waiting in the wings a little bit. As far as C4D itself goes, none of the changes they've made have made me upset particularly. Like I said, the UI, I prefer the old one, but it's not like a game changer. It's not like a deal breaker for me. It's not like, yeah. So I'm quite happy with Cinema 4DR21 in and of itself. It's absolutely fine. It's still lovely and works great and all the rest of it. So I can be happy with that side of things. But I can understand. But when it comes to the subscription model versus, you know, and the people that have invested so much in and been loyal to Maxon over the years, I can see why they feel like they're being a bit snubbed, I suppose. So, but like I said, at least they're listening. and at least they're making attempts to make things better. So we'll just have to see how it pans out. If there is any more developments on that front, we'll do another live stream and we'll have another chat, and we can have a chat whether we think that what they're doing is enough, or what they're doing is absolutely fine. We don't know. So let's see how this pans out, and then we can all have another chat. Slobber says the only way to get more paying subs, either on Patreon or whatever, is to produce tons of sexy shots and offer files or tutorials to make it. No one value good old school tutorials. Yeah, no one values good old school tutorials anymore. Yeah, as I'm finding out the hard way. So yeah, maybe I should do tiers and do some giveaways. Oh, that reminds me, I've got to do a giveaway. I've got to do a giveaway for the Prime membership. So before you all bugger off, I'm going to scroll through the chat, and obviously those who have been chatting more than anyone else are at an advantage here, but I'm going to scroll through the chat and stop randomly on a person, and it is Slobbo. You've won access to you've got a prime membership. So what I'll do is I'm going to get hold of you via your YouTube channel, and then we can talk about getting that Prime membership to you. Hopefully you've already got an account on digitalmeat.uk, and I can just add the Prime membership to that. But if not, I can get hold of you via your channel and we can have a chat about that. Okay, so cool. Slobbo is the winner of the Prime membership, and so he gets access to that for 12 months. If you've already got the Prime membership, it just means that we'll add 12 months onto your already existing subscription. So, because I thought about that before, I thought, what if you pick someone that's already got it? And I just thought, well, you can just add the product again and they'll get an extra 12 months. Brilliant. So yeah, Slobbo, you've won that. I'll get hold of you in a minute. So yeah, you won the giveaway. Anyway, that's the end of the stream, guys. I've already gone over and I'm rambling now, so I'm just going to go. All right, so I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. It seems like my computer's locked up for some reason. Here we go. So I think